Let's salute.
Salute.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome. It is the church.
Of all due respect.
Oh,
and who's this we have here? Our special guest?
it's the Island Hottie,
Secret special guest. Island Hottie.
Mr. Lachlan.
Yeah.
Lachlan Dyer.
Lachlan Dyer.
That's me.
That's your name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know.
Yeah,
Your
I don't
full
really know
name.
why I said my last name.
No,
Lachlan.
I didn't know it.
Is an old-time friend.
Yeah.
That has been in my life since grade 5.
Mm-hmm. Mr.
And-
Good's class.
Yep.
Mr. Good's class.
And he was a good teacher.
Yeah.
Great teacher.
He
What
was
the
probably
best
one of my
thing
favorite
that
teachers.
happened? What was the best thing that happened that year?
He made us crepes a lot in the morning.
He made you what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would
That-
make us crepes
He made you
every once in a
breakfast.
while.
He didn't have to do that.
Like
Yeah.
good crepes too, like fruits, all that stuff.
He would bring in the special crepe plate. So it was
Great place.
Yeah, so it wasn't a normal frying pan. It was a dome. It was like a dome-shaped pan. And so you'd pour the batter just a little bit on the top of it, and it would spread super thin. So you get these really thin crepes from it.
I still remember those fucking things. Like
Sounds like a very nice.
that's how
I know.
influential this guy was.
He
Like, in
introduced
grade
us to crepes.
5, in grade
Wow.
5.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he introduced you to crepes, and that was the best thing that
Dude,
happened.
I think he used to just love showing kids the world.
Crepes.
Like, different elements of the world. Yeah, and part of that is crepes. And
a big
I think
part of that was crepes.
yeah, that was really the most influential thing for me during the year. It wasn't necessarily one particular event. It was just how his inherent philosophy on teaching and interacting with
He was there to
children and
actually
everything.
teach, unlike a
Yeah.
lot of public school teachers.
Yeah. And he was passionate, and you
Mhm.
could see it. He'd get excited.
I always remember the time he tried to teach Brady Weeks how to tell time.
Really?
Never did got it though.
That's funny.
It's outed him.
Yeah, so 5th grade was good.
5th grade was
and you
awesome.
Met there.
We
and
met
then,
there.
And then you went to high school together.
Yeah, we continued to go to school together.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they got Sandy, and I started coming over a lot more.
Oh yeah, I got a dog,
Oh.
Sandy.
So the
That was
dog.
my Nova Scotian duck toller
Wow.
that I had. And she was great.
That's good.
Yeah. And
That's good.
we went on all sorts of adventures. It was a good time.
Climbed rivers, waterfalls.
Yeah. One distinct memory that always comes to mind when I think about one of the first, when we were first getting to know each other, was when the teacher had called everybody around in gym, and we'd all gathered in a circle around, and we were all listening intently to what the instructions that the teacher was giving us. And then I remember looking up over my shoulder, and I was like, not Lachlan. He's up in the gym, just spinning in a circle, just like, wee! Just not giving a fuck.
Do you know how many people have that memory of me? I had no friends back then. I moved here from Calgary, Alberta, and I just liked spinning because I got Disney and it was fun.
You were just spinning,
Yeah.
like running?
No, I would spin in
Spinning.
circles.
Like,
Yeah, like on your feet.
yeah, but like not
Just
running.
twirl, just like
Yeah,
twirling,
yeah. But like not
Yeah.
like on your butt or something.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or on a chair.
pretty sure he was helicoptering. You
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were just doing that in the class, the rest of the class was listening to the teacher and
It was like
you were just doing that?
something was going on.
I also came from
Free.
Montessori school and
Oh.
not like public school.
It was normal
So
to
like
do that.
that kind of dumb factory routine stuff wasn't
Yeah.
normal to me.
Right.
So yeah,
Oh,
weird to judge.
I didn't know you went to a Montessori school before
Mhm.
that.
yeah. I wish I got to stay in it,
Yeah.
but we moved.
Uh,
And my mom moved here to set one up, so there
Right.
wasn't one set up yet.
wow. I didn't know your mom did that. It's like a ground up.
Yeah, she's helped open 3 on the island.
Wow.
And what
That's
does
I
that
think
mean?
3 or 2.
What is that school?
Montessori.
Yeah.
It's like an alternative way of learning. So it focuses on a kid's weaknesses as opposed to just having a square cutout form for every child. So say like you're really good at math but you're bad at English, you're gonna spend 70% of the year doing English,
Oh.
and then just a little bit of math because you're gonna pick it up really quick.
Okay.
Because it really makes sure like kids understand everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
like tailored to every person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's
Makes a lot more
seems
sense.
like a practical approach.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
It's the way it really should be.
It should be that way.
Yeah.
I think. That's cool. Yeah, and then we went to high school, and then I didn't see you for not that often for a number of years until recently.
Yeah, I went to university, family couldn't afford it, so I dropped out and went to the oil field.
Classic move.
It's my only option.
That's what everybody does around here. Everybody goes up to the oil fields.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money up there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there was. I don't know about anymore, because the price of oil is tanked right
no
now.
one's working right now.
Yeah. It's bad.
It's great.
Gas is 85 or 86 right now around here.
Yeah.
Something like
It
that.
was like
Yeah.
62 when I left Alberta.
Holy smokes, 62 cents.
I was still expecting it to be like $1.50 here.
Yeah, eh?
I couldn't
Yeah.
care less about the gas prices. Like, they're overinflated to begin with already.
Oh yeah, they price it as much as people will spend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I was traveling in Peru, the gas was incredibly cheap because people don't have money there. They still need to sustain the economy though.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the thing about a world economy is that they figure out, okay, there's no way we can just set a price worldwide for this. We need to have some way of regionally adjusting it.
Mm-hmm. One of the dumbest things about Canada's oil prices too is like, instead of allowing Canada to set up like somewhat environmentally friendly refineries, they outsource it, so all that oil has to get shipped and then shipped back.
Holy smokes! Just like our timber.
Yeah, and so but a lot of the like East Coast from Ontario over, basically they buy all of their oil from Saudi Arabia, anyways. So it's like, what are we doing? Everyone's shitting on Canada's oil field, and Canada has like the most stringent environmentally practices, and then like Saudi Arabia, like they don't do anything; they just throw it right on the ground if they don't want it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know anything about that.
I also don't know anything about that.
It's wild.
It,
We spend a lot more of our time making sure like what we just served went back good than we do on the actual like pipeline part of it.
mm.
But everywhere else in the world, they just fuck everything up, leave oil everywhere, and just wreck it.
They just leave it. That's not good.
Mm-hmm. No.
You shouldn't be just leaving oil.
Or burn it.
Or burn it.
You know.
I just hope.
Yeah,
someone,
I know.
I just hope someone gets
Yeah.
like a feasible replacement.
Oh.
They're not doing a very good job of that.
Yeah. We might be turning into a new age right now with everything that's going on right now. Like there's this could be one of the catalytic periods for us to switch over to electric or anything like that. You know, with gas being so low.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Just the tough
Yeah.
thing with electric is like the amount of like energy that has to go into mining lithium.
Mm-hmm.
It requires diesel because like they don't have any electric engines that can put out that much power yet.
Right.
So like by the time you get enough to make like say like a semi truck worth of lithium batteries, you've expended more energy than that truck's gonna use. So it's like it's weird.
They'll figure it out.
No, it's getting more efficient every year.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not feasible at the moment.
Yeah. It'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
But that leads me
Yeah.
to our first topic,
Oh, wonderful.
which is pulp, because that's
Uh-oh.
related to oil,
Pulp is very related to oil.
right?
It is.
I thought that was a good relation.
Yeah.
Well done.
Right?
Well done.
Well done, thank you. And so they are printing cheap wood cut pulp paper, and then what they do is
Who's they? What are you talking about? They.
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay. Okay.
Then, so they
Just give me a minute.
they put their Pulp Fiction was printed on pulp paper because it was cheap,
That's where the comes from.
and so they call it Pulp Fiction because it was on
I'm
the
an
cheap
idiot.
paper.
I never.
Nope. Never connected that dot.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's been, and that movie is so popular, and I've always just been like, Pulp Fiction, cool. Like not, I just graze over
Didn't
that.
think about what.
Didn't think deeply about it.
No.
There's,
Pulp Fiction actually
Wow.
refers
Just
to
refer to the
a genre of literature, which is like a small, like well-written story, like an adventure that can be read in like 1 to 2 sittings.
Oh,
you
okay.
know?
Like
So
100 pages or so?
yeah,
150
like
pages?
yeah, you're not sitting there for 20 times to read it.
Right.
Just maybe one time.
A little light reading.
Yeah. So like comic books, there were some old things. So Pulp Fiction is based on Penny Dreadfuls.
What's that?
And well, and they're similar to dime novels, which are Penny Dreadfuls were like mystery novels with like graphic art on the front. So it's like the graphic art usually tells a story, usually like gives something to you about the story.
You could judge the book by its cover.
Yeah.
In this situation.
In that, pretty much,
and
yeah.
welcoming that.
Yeah,
that's where all the confusion happened. Pulp Fiction kind
of. Yeah. So Pulp Fiction, I don't know how it really relates to the art. Do you?
The movie Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
How it relates to that genre of art?
Yeah.
I mean, no, I don't know, but if I was going to guess, I would say that
it's a pretty cheaply made movie.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know how much it cost to make that movie, but like just like that type of drama that Tarantino was portraying.
Yeah.
It had that pulpy kind of vibe to it, where it was just
the
like
type of story.
Gritty, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what makes it.
And the imagery too.
The overall aesthetic of the.
It was over the top, right?
Kind of comic booky.
With the guy with the long hair, like the main character.
Travolta.
John Travolta having the long hair.
Yeah. It is very over the top.
And that scene when he's driving and he's high on heroin, and it's just kind of like it's like very similar to a comic book kind of vibe going on.
Yes.
In that scene, a few scenes in that movie. I haven't watched that movie too much, but people love that movie.
I love the fucking McDonald's part when they're talking about McDonald's in France.
Right.
And they're like the McRoyale. It's like what?
It's funny that it's just so in a movie like that. It's intoxicating in a way. It just draws you in. Like you're just listening to some guys talk about fast food from a different place in the world, but the way that they do it is like hypnotizing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, old movies have it interesting. There's some very, very well made films. And so that's based on that and the Penny Dreadfuls. They only cost a penny, as you could guess. So were the dime novels. They were just a dime.
Oh.
And so they were aimed at like young working class men, which is interesting.
Okay.
And they show like a psychological thriller and dark mystery and suspense and personal demons from the past.
So that's
being stronger.
Probably strongly influenced our taste in movies too, because like huge genres of movies in general.
Yeah, and it's just it shows you the type of stories being geared towards young men for even since the 19th century. Conan O'Brien?
No, but the
Barbarian?
The Barbarian.
Oh yeah, not Conan O'Brien.
No.
Well,
I'd like to see him play Conan though.
That guy's only worth half a penny.
Oh.
What?
Shade.
Throwing shots at Conan O'Brien?
Conan O'Brien is a very big sponsor of us. So
comes here frequently.
Yeah, he's usually our island hottie.
Fuck you, Conan. No, I'm just kidding. I love Conan O'Brien. I love Conan O'Brien. I'm just teasing.
Okay, but here's the even deeper thing about these Penny Dreadfuls. The Penny Dreadfuls are based on broadsides, which are like a large sheet of paper that's printed on one side, and it's usually like to tell you of an event. But so it's like a poster.
Okay.
Or event. It's like an advertisement or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that's what they're called. A broadside. It'd be like, there's a horse race in the street tomorrow.
How is that related to the Penny Dreadful?
It's the same kind of art.
Oh, yeah,
same
they have
kind
the same
of
artist.
imagery,
Okay, so you've seen that type of... And it's almost like the same kind of art in like a lot of propaganda posters and stuff, too.
It's the kind of stuff used in war.
Right, that wartime art.
Oh!
Yes.
It just clicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much, okay, good.
It's all that, yeah.
Much good.
And
so that's what what was that called? That was called
broadside. Broadside, and that's kind of like an ephemera, I think it's called.
So the Pulp Fiction, the Penny Dreadful, and the broadsides, they all use that same art.
Yeah, and the ephemera was
What's that?
it's Greek for lasting only one day or short-lived. So it's a printed matter not meant to be retained.
Oh, like commercial art, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
just
so like a
pump it out.
catalog, you know.
Right. So there must have been
Invitation.
schools, I bet, that
Arts
would
comics.
teach. Yeah, that would
Mhm.
teach people how to draw in that generic style. So you could be working as an industrial artist
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen the documentary about Walt Disney?
No.
It goes into that, like when he, like as a young animator, you would literally go into like a factory setting as a drawer, and they would teach you like this is the style that
Whoa.
you're doing, and he would just pump out slide after slide after slide after slide of like a certain style.
That's crazy. Wow.
That's how he learned how to animate slowly, and then he developed his own style or whatever.
Wow. That's
Wow.
intense. My sister has a degree in animation. She's an excellent animator.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
she is. Yeah. Did she go into a factory setting?
I mean, you have to manufacture that setting yourself, and a lot of, much like
Yeah, I guess
practicing
nowadays they're not
too,
gonna
music.
put you in that.
Yeah, that you just have to. Like the thing about the factory is the repetition. That's the key. Things like that, you have to drill it, to animating and everything, and the drills that you do with animation. She was talking to me the other day. It's really interesting because you're trying to portray, when you draw something, you're trying to portray physics that you would imagine, not real life physics. So if you draw a cartoon with real life physics, it's not gonna look good. It's gonna look bad in a weird way, you have to adopt this other language of physics in a weird way
Mm-hmm.
for it to flow properly. And it kind of tripped me out. I was like, that's crazy. That's a talent in of
Yeah.
itself. That's craziness.
Well, it's like the software engines they build for like their physical world within an animation. That like they run it through a constant program. They have to create their own set of rules, their own physical set of rules
Mm.
for it to like actually follow.
Mm-hmm.
And because if they use the real life ones, everything just breaks.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm. Cool.
Yeah, so that's what I learned about Pulp Fiction. So it became like popular in like World War One. So that's why a lot of the, the art, the propaganda is in that style. As we were saying.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's one of the, like I was saying earlier, that's one of those things that's around us all.
Yeah.
And I've never really looked into it deeply at all, but it's just right under our nose.
Yeah.
There's things we've all
Yeah.
been exposed to.
Exactly.
So what's the style of the art called?
Well, it's called pulp art.
Oh, okay.
And
So
that's
all
how
that
I
art is
got
called
into
pulp
this.
art.
Yeah, I was looking
Okay.
at pulp art.
Hmm.
So I really enjoy pulp art.
You like it, eh?
I do. Yeah.
It's an interesting style of art. Like, imagine if they uncovered one of those frescoes in Pompeii and it was pulp art style.
Oh my god.
That would be insane.
They're like, what?
That would screw up so much historical data.
Yeah.
Like they'd be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we fucked something.
Oh god.
We got something really wrong along the way."
It'd be crazy if it was something like so modern, like a Picasso.
Yeah.
It was like a photograph.
Yeah.
Just a selfie. Like, what?
Yeah. That's a good point. Like, pulp art is incredibly modern if you think about the
Yeah.
perspectives and everything that it's
Mhm.
very advanced in terms of
Yeah.
the history.
And the style of the people kind of stay in that kind of like idealized, like what was ideal of people in that time. So like just like the way that it's
The archetypes.
the roles that people will be put in is kind of like similar, but
Yeah.
but there's definitely a lot of people that do it now that like do different kinds of pulp art, so it's a very new take on the old
Mm-hmm.
kind of art, which is cool because it's
That
not just
is.
like wartime
Yeah.
stuff, but it's like that style. It would be cool to see a cartoon in that really detailed style because there's
That
not
would
a
be
lot.
crazy.
There's not a lot that are like in that really like really realistic, like almost oil painting kind.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be... I mean, there was that Vincent van Gogh movie. I haven't seen it yet, but it was all done... Every single frame was an oil painting.
Oh shit.
Oh really?
Yeah. I'm just gonna move this. 'cause
Did
it's
that
gonna
painting
cause
just fall?
My shoulders are pretty high.
We're talking about paintings
And he was like, "Hey, look at me. I'm a painting too." Not an oil painting
Is it
though.
a jellyfish or a person going like that?
I don't know.
We'll never know. That's right.
Dion, would you like some?
I would.
Red or white?
I'll try the white. I'm down.
It's actually quite good.
It is, yeah. And while you're pouring that, I'm gonna mention some stuff about some SCOBY stuff that I learned about.
Really? You learned SCOBY stuff?
A little bit. Well, not SCOBY stuff, but just kombucha stuff. So, I learned how to make your own.
Well, let's remind everybody what kombucha is.
Okay, so kombucha is a fermented sweet tea beverage that is made preferably of black tea, and a SCOBY is the bacteria culture that is a result of the fermentation process. So it basically feeds off the sugar, and then it leads to carbonation. And so it's not as sweet when you eventually drink it. And you can...
but it's very healthy.
It's very healthy, very good. Probiotics. Do you like kombucha?
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Oh,
I had no idea how it was made though. I know Elon makes it, but I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yes.
Yes, it's made out of the SCOBY itself is a symbiotic relationship between a type of fungus and a type of bacteria, and they spin this cellulose layer that goes over top of it, and that's what the SCOBY is in the kombucha. But when it does that and it goes through so the ingredients are literally water, sugar, tea, and then that special bacterial culture. And when it converts the sugar into niacin and different B vitamins, and so it has like a whole bunch more health properties with it, with just from adding bacteria. It's crazy, and it comes fizzy.
Yeah, so it's basically like replaces. Oh yes, thank you. Look at Island Hottie doing a good job.
Best Island Hottie so far. Screw all the other ones.
I was trying to do it without interrupting you.
I did. So the carbonation is like I learned something that I should have been doing, but I wasn't, is capping it off and sealing it. So because you want when it's fermenting.
Second time.
Yeah, you want it to be like able to breathe, and you want the air to be coming in and out. But when you want to be carbonating it for when you're infusing it with flavors, you want it to be out of the fridge, and then after like on the last day of having it capped, then you put it in the fridge.
For how long?
Well, then you just like keep it in there, and then like drink it, for like a day.
Okay.
So like you would have it fermenting the second time with the cap on for about 3 or 4 days, and then you put it in the fridge.
Oh,
but depending on
so
how
you leave
warm
it out
is,
sealed to ferment even more. Okay, I see.
The guy I was watching said he had his on a heat pad.
He was heating it.
Yeah, because it was winter time. He said.
Incubating it.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. That is a good.
So I have a question about that though.
Uh-huh.
So you said you have that culture you introduce.
Yep.
What is that? Where'd you get that?
You have to buy kombucha.
Okay.
You just
so
buy
is it
kombucha.
almost like making sourdough? Like you can keep your own mother cell?
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
so
what,
I could cut you off a piece of that SCOBY
That's really cool.
and give it to you in a bit of the
sell that
kombucha.
at Gigi.
Yeah, you could. Eh? That's a good idea. We could sell SCOBYs for cheap.
$5 a clip.
That's another thing that I was gonna mention was that like you can't just have kombucha unless you have that SCOBY. And you have that culture, so you have to get it from somewhere, and you can buy it online. On Amazon, you can buy a SCOBY like in a package. There's a few stores you can buy it at. I know at least one in town. You can buy SCOBYs.
You just buy a bottle of kombucha though.
And yeah, you can buy a bottle of kombucha and make it yourself. That'll take like a few weeks. There's like it's like half. I think like 8 cups of water, and like a cup of sugar. And like 4 tea bags, and then you let that cool after you steep it, and then you add a bottle, they said, of unflavored, unfiltered, raw kombucha. So the GTS original will work.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Yeah. And then you leave that for about 3 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, depending on how long.
In glass.
In glass. Only use glass.
I use metal.
Yeah, you use metal.
But I should be using glass.
You should use glass.
Copper kombucha.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Buy-
good.
Buy, buy the name.
Copper pot. Copper
Buy
pot.
the name. You could be producing kombucha by the next year.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. So I got my SCOBY from a coworker who gave me one, and then I gave a little one of my SCOBYs to Elan.
Yeah.
I don't know
His
why
one
this
grew
town
into
is
a big one.
notorious.
SCOBY?
SCOBY.
Yeah. Well, just like I got my SCOBY from a coworker.
Yeah.
And I gave it to a
It's true. That's
Yeah, it's like this underground culture that you have to get from somewhere, and it's cool to get it from some.
I wonder where it
from someone.
originally.
Right?
That's what next
We
thing I
don't
was gonna
know.
ask.
Yeah.
That's what I
We
was gonna
don't
ask
know,
next.
you guys. I think it probably just came off of one of. So it
That's
would have
nice.
come off of one of my coworkers.
Stop. Don't start that.
Oh my god.
We don't
okay.
need more conjunctions in this goddamn world.
So we thought, what if we had puppets made of scobies?
Oh yeah.
But we call them not the Muppets, not puppets, scuppets. Oh.
I'm
Yeah.
down with it.
It's gross and I like it.
Dude, they're gonna look so sweet.
Hey guys, I look like a person inside out.
Literally
Oh
does.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so disturbing.
My SCOBY
Kill me,
art's
please.
going leaps and bounds. I'm gonna make masks soon with my
Oh.
SCOBYs.
Yeah.
Are we moving on to the next topic?
Well, I was just seeing what I have here, and it's not as much as other stuff, but
Well, I want just before we move
you
away from
say whatever
SCOBYs,
you want.
I
Yeah.
want to talk about what I'm doing with my SCOBY art.
Yes, please talk about that.
Yeah.
It's very.
Oh man, I'm working really hard in my laboratory on all the SCOBY stuff. You know, I'm getting SCOBified. I'm getting right deep into it. I'm seeing all the potential. You know, sometimes things in life you gotta like look at them for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta sort of just let them into your life, you know, and just see what happens. So now I'm making musical instruments out of SCOBY.
Tell us how.
Well, I'm starting with a drum. I figured
Okay.
drum is probably the easiest thing to do, most
You'd think.
primitive of the instruments almost.
Yeah, it was one of the first instruments.
Definitely. And I took an old honey bucket and I cut out the bottom of it, and I put a SCOBY, pretty thick SCOBY, over top of it. But it'll get thin. They always get really thin. And then I put an elastic band over that, and then I put twine. I wrapped twine. You were there for that.
Some jute twine.
Some jute twine. Put some jute twine
Some
around it.
thin jute twine.
Now I'm just gonna let it dry in the sun
Wow.
and or inside. I usually put it in the oven at a very low temperature for a few hours, and that dries it out pretty quickly. But I already put it on the plastic bucket, so I have to just dry it slowly. But that's okay.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that it'll tighten up and get really tight, because this stuff is like leather.
Do you ever like rub any oil into it?
Yeah.
In between drying phases? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm surprised it hasn't cracked.
Yeah,
But
as
since
it
you rub oil into it, 'cause
as
you're
it dries, I
okay.
put coconut
Okay.
oil on it.
Cool.
I rub the oil, rub the lotion. Yeah, so I'm excited. So who knows where this is gonna go?
Wow.
This is exciting times.
It
I'm
is
really most
exciting.
excited about making rope with the SCOBY leather, because it's really strong and you can twist it up, and that's one of the more utilitarian ones I know. But I like the artistic aspect of it too, like making masks. And I was
Yeah.
thinking you could use it as canvas. Might have already talked about that on another episode, but drying out the SCOBY in a frame, right?
Yes.
And then just using that as a canvas for oil painting or some sort of painting.
Oh wow.
You know?
A new kind of painting surface. And we'll use a new kind of paint.
Shotty being the first person to jump rope with SCOBY.
Okay. That
Jump
might be.
scope.
We'll work on the title. Start a cartoon called Scooby Doo.
Scooby Dooby Doo.
Scooby Doo.
Wow, a mystery show. Or maybe a pulp mystery about
Pulp
Scooby.
mystery? I'm down.
Oh,
I'd be into it.
put some oranges in there.
Scooby Doo was kind of
Extra
pulpy,
pulp. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it
Yeah.
was just like cheaply. It was a really cheaply made cartoon. A lot of those cartoons were
Yeah.
just like,
They just slapped that together.
it's like like the character would be talking and the mouth would just be going. Maybe having like a full conversation.
It's weird if you watch cartoons and you don't suspend your imagination to just be like, yep, that syncs up with the words. If you just look at it as like everything is still and just like one mouth is like going all crazy and like glitchy. If you look at it like that, you're like, wow, that's crazy. Because that's what it is. But you just look at it, you're like, oh, that's talking.
Yeah.
And your brain just does the
just
rest,
allows it. There's a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
You know, we worry so much about syncing up the sound on these things, but
home was really even.
It's fine.
Everyone's brain will do it.
I'm kind of glad that we went back to Pulp Fiction for a minute, because I had a thought, like...
Okay.
Like, Pulp Fiction really was all about, back then, like, they had to rely on their actual content, because they didn't put an actual lot of, like, money resource into it. Because it was really to be made, like, so to be actually entertaining, and people to pay attention to it, actually had to be good. Yeah. Whereas now, they just throw a bunch of money into junk and use derived crap. And it's like, it's good, but it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of that Pulp Fiction back then was, the storylines were pretty cliche. Like, it was a lot of...
Yeah.
They usually followed, like, a series, and they were, like, released, like, weekly. So, or, like,
They're
an
pumping
increment.
them out.
Yeah, so people would, like, be coming back for more. So I think that's why they were so cheaply made.
But if people were coming back, they were always
they would have to,
right.
yeah, they would have to
figured out how to tell a story.
And I think it was kind of a thing of you know, all the young guys were doing it. So everyone, it's just the kind of thing that if everyone's doing it, everyone's just going to be on board with it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be just a popular thing.
Just a fad. All the different strange fads we've all gone through.
Yeah.
Society.
Trolls.
Those were big as a kid.
Yeah.
Remember those naked troll dolls?
Those naked trolls with the fun hair.
One time I was a naked troll doll for Halloween.
Those hairs.
You got sent home.
Those hairs were incredibly flammable. I loved them.
They were very
really
flammable.
yeah, they were.
Yeah, and they looked like fire a lot of the time too.
I was a fucking pyro back in the day.
Oh, did
Me
you
too.
like to light toys on fire?
Me and Lachlan used to like
every
break
toy
shit.
I was ever given, me and Elan destroyed or lit on fire.
You guys both did that together?
Oh, it was one of our good activities after school.
That was one of your good activities.
My dad had this shed and it was just like blackberry brumble in the back. Just like clear a little patch and like set up army men and like fucking put some butane oil on them and just light them on fire.
Yeah, we'd light everything on fire back there. I forgot about that little nook back there. That was a lot of good memories back there. We used to play golf with bottles and jars as the ball. We just swinging at glass.
Yeah.
That seems
dangerous.
like a waste of good refundables.
And then I think we tried to like clean them up with the vacuum cleaner, but it was the lawn. We did something.
I don't remember that.
We tried to vacuum the lawn at one point.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Was that the thing that got you in trouble of all that?
No, your mom.
Probably.
I think we definitely did vacuum the lawn at a certain point. We were trying to get rid of something.
I feel like that's the kind of thing that like a mom would just be like, "That's the line. I'm drawing it. You can't be using the vacuum."
I bet your mom had to draw the line a bunch of times.
Oh yeah. Like we were driving golf balls off. We were driving rocks off my front porch.
Oh.
And we ended up hitting like an old lady.
Oh, I wasn't there for that.
Yeah.
And she was.
We're pretty sure we didn't actually hit her, but like she saw us doing
said
it, and she wanted to get us in shit.
She wanted some insurance money.
Yeah, and the cop didn't believe her because she was a hypochondriac.
Is that's
a hypochondriac? Like you like get bruises really easily.
Yeah. Okay. There's
and so she
layers.
had no mark, so the cops didn't believe her.
Is a hypochondriac somebody who with that, or is that somebody who thinks they're sick all the time?
It's hemophiliac.
Hemophiliac. That's what you're thinking of. Yeah. See, the hypochondriac was coming to mind too.
Yeah.
But hemophiliac,
it's hemophiliac.
And that shit is serious.
That shit is
but
serious.
But she had no mark on her, so the cops didn't believe her. But
what a dumb line, bitch.
They believed that we were driving rocks across the street.
Because we did do that.
Yeah, we did.
It was the truth.
My parents were very upset about it. That was with Robbie LeDuc, though. He was bad influence.
God. I mean, we could get into some stories about a bunch of shit. That went lots of crazy stuff happened.
Yeah.
I remember that story of you guys. I wasn't part of it, but you guys were you there when they were shooting the ceramic power line?
If I was there, I was the only one who didn't get caught. I'm saying shit, but if I was there, everyone else got in a lot of trouble and I didn't get caught.
Because they were shooting, I think it was just a BB gun, but they were shooting the BB gun at those ceramic resistors in the power
It
lines.
keeps from the current jumping from power line to power line. Those like weird clay plates in between lines.
I guess they're
Yeah.
insulators, not
Yeah,
resistors.
insulators,
Yeah.
Okay,
And
yeah. Shooting at those,
They
of
pop
course.
real good if you shoot them.
they,
Oh, I bet they do.
and then
I mean, I don't know.
and then
Yeah, I've heard.
somebody turned on their oven, I guess, and it just like overloaded with juice, and it caught their house on fire. Yeah. And then I'm pretty sure they walked back down the street, and the cop rolled up on them while they had
No.
the gun. Was that a different time?
A real gun?
So what happened is, I went
Is
home.
this-
I went home because
It's crazy.
I kind of knew what we did was really fucking bad.
We-
I left. So I left, and they went back to do more.
Oh,
So they got busted.
Oh,
and
damn.
the guy who had the BB gun,
Mhm.
Yeah,
his father was the lead conservation officer of the island.
of course he was.
So like it was real bad.
Oh my goodness. That's
But
intense.
hey, they didn't rat on me, so like props.
Some good
Like-
friends.
I mean, they would now, but back then they didn't.
Oh man, that's craziness.
Yeah.
And then so that was when the guy, our friend that had owned the gun. It was just a BB gun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
Oh yeah, we didn't
and
have a
then-
real gun.
But
we were
the
like 14.
cops drew their weapons at
Yeah.
him because he was just walking back to his home
Right.
and he was
Can't
holding a
just
firearm.
Have guns, yeah.
I didn't hear anything about it, but I imagine his dad fucking lost it on those guys for pulling a gun on a kid.
Yeah, but he had a gun. He was walking around with what looked like a
If
rifle.
you know anything about actually, like, if you actually know guns,
It's
it's
true.
incredibly easy to tell the difference between a BB gun and a gun that actually holds a caliber.
That's true.
Like-
But
That's
even
true.
if it's a
Yeah.
BB gun, aren't they still going to be like...
You could still
Still
cause a lot of
don't.
damage.
Still
You could
don't.
potentially kill somebody with it if you got a real good shot.
I guess.
They still don't want you shooting it down.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be like, we're going to pull real guns and put the BB gun down.
Yeah, man. That was an insane story to hear about. I was like, holy shit.
So they lit someone's house on fire and then those people just like
Yeah, indirectly.
had to like move on with their
They didn't
lives?
get
What
like the
happened
house didn't
with
burn
them?
down.
It just lit on
Started
Oh,
a
it
little
just-
house
yeah.
fire. A minor
Like-
house fire.
like that, like their stove caught on fire.
Yeah, I think something
Like
like
it was
that.
like the wall plug, like overloaded, and
Okay.
it like kind of went on the wall, I think, or something like that. I never got the big.
That's
proper-
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they went to
Ooh.
court though, with
I
for
bet
it.
you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really scary because like
Yeah,
you'd be
right.
like these damn kids shooting at my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
People do a lot of dumb stuff.
People, yeah, you know, when you
You
get a
know.
BB gun and you're just roaming the streets, it's
I
a,
remember I was.
Well, that was like
It's a
up in
bad
the logging
idea.
roads, like along the main power line.
oh
There
yeah.
was those ones.
We used to mess around with those BB guns really stupidly as a kid. I remember me and Brody, we used to just like shoot each other with them in the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never found that fun.
It was always kind of fun. Because you'd
I
get.
was way too scared to lose an eyeball.
That's the thing. One time I was hanging out with a buddy that this happened to. And we were playing around with that same BB gun in his backyard. And I had the bright idea to shoot at you remember those tie-dye looking balls? Those blow-up balls that used to be at the grocery stores all the time?
Oh yeah, those
Yeah.
really thin, cheap rubber balls.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
You always want one
Yeah.
because they
Those
look
big
dope.
tower things.
Yeah.
They
It's
don't
just
even
a
sell
piece of
those
garbage.
anymore,
Yeah, so I thought I was going to pop it because I was just like, can I shoot that? And he's just like, yeah, go for it. And so I thought it was going to pop. The thing bounced off and it whizzed. It was like God was trying to tell me a message. Because it whizzed past my eye and it like just like grazed the side of my head right past my eye right there. And I was just like, okay, well, I think I'm done playing with BB guns now. That was incredibly, my heart was, it just makes it beat,
Oh.
even thinking about it, that was crazy.
Yeah. One time my brother was playing with one of those. He was like loading it up in our grandparents' like little living room, and he was sitting maybe like from like that keyboard, like from like the wall next to the keyboard away, and then he just like was shooting, like pointing at my face as a joke, and then it just like shot me like right in the lip.
Oh.
And it was like he was sitting so close and it hurt so bad.
I bet it did.
Oh
Those
man.
things, yeah.
Wow.
Like,
I was like, oh,
Surprised
and
the
I just
lip
remember
didn't
his
get
face was
destroyed.
like, he was like, "Oh fuck!" I was like, "You fuck."
You must have not had it pumped up very much, because like
Yeah.
I've pumped up a daisy real hard.
Yeah.
It
and,
was
like,
one of those
I've
little
torn
ones,
through
I think.
things.
It was
Oh, yeah.
like a little pistol one.
Oh, okay. So this is a tiny.
It wasn't a
CO2
full
cartridge.
size one. No.
Okay.
No, not that time. No. Yeah. And my grandpa got so mad at him. Like he should have. He was like, "You can't point guns at people's face."
Yeah. No, I feel like, dude, I feel like there's so
It was
many
so
young people
crazy.
out there right now that are like messing around with BB guns.
And
like,
don't.
you don't. There's so many ways to get thrills in life.
Hey,
like,
no.
go get laid. Go have sex.
I think we're talking about young kids here.
If you're 12,
Wait until you have sex head first.
you know,
It's true. Yeah.
Don't knock up a 13-year-old.
start some fires and cook some food.
Go camping.
You want to play with a BB gun?
Yeah.
Play with a BB gun. That's a great time to bond with your dad or something like that. Like
It's a good
someone
time
who
to
knows
bond
how
with
to
dad.
handle
Exactly,
it, knows
that's
how
a-
to do it safely.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Get a grown
that's a good
man who
point.
can supervise
Yeah.
and be safe.
Just an adult.
Yeah, and
A
the thing
safe,
is, like,
adult.
you can like teach your kid how to take pride in being safe, because it's like
Safe
it's
is
like
cool,
you
man.
get to do a whole bunch of really cool, dangerous things that other people can't do because they don't know how to be
Yeah.
safe.
You get
They
to
don't
brag
know
to
how
your
be
friends
aware.
that you shot a gun, but you still got both eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas old Jimmy over there, nope.
Oh man.
Old Jimmy one eye.
Yep.
So I have a story.
Okay.
The pickle van story.
Right.
here we go.
Oh yes, I
Here
wanted
we
to hear
go.
this.
Pickle van.
Pickle
So
van.
there's this lady at the farmer's market that sells pickles. She sells them. She makes them at home and she sells them. And I haven't been able to find her at the farmer's market because she hadn't been there for a couple times that I went for the past few months. And then this whole thing happened with a disease. And now we can't go to the farmer's market, so I can't find the pickle lady. But what she has is just these like homemade jars that just have a label of what's in it.
With her address.
And she just has her phone number, so I just phoned it.
Oh wow.
I was like, "Yo, can I get these pickles from you? Like, how do I get them?" And she's like, "You can just like come meet me."
You can take them from my mouth.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, okay, come on.
And I would have. They're
I
good
think this is an
enough.
erotica novel.
Yeah.
Still in that Pulp Fiction.
The pulp art. Yeah. So she was like, "Yeah, come meet me. I live by the swamp, you know?" And like
She lives by the swamp.
she lives down by the swamp in this like crazy
Fiona!
like yeah, this housing thing. It's like these really tight houses that I've never like really been in, like just all these really tight together condos. And I was looking for her
Here in
down
Nanaimo?
there. Yeah, here in town. Really close to here actually, like right across the river.
Interesting.
Yeah, we could go there right now for some pickles.
There's fresh pickles right by the river?
There's fresh pickles by the river,
Oh
guys.
my goodness.
So then, she just, I found her. She was on the side, by the swamp in her van, and she just like was like, "Hey," she's just this little old lady, and she's like, she's like, "Here you go," and
I'm
like.
picturing like a Yoda like character. you
Yeah,
know?
kind of like that. And like she just gives me like a plastic bag with 2 jars of pickles in it, and I just like give her this, all the cash that was in my wallet.
All the cash you had.
All the cash I had.
This is all I have.
Yeah.
She's like, it's not enough.
It's not even kind of.
This is crazy. What a Skyrim kind of moment.
Yeah, and then I just like got in my car and drove
No,
away.
you
I was like,
Skyrim
"Here."
ones.
She didn't really even say anything. She was like, "Here," like I was like, "It's 20, right?" She's like, "Yep." Because they're like quality pickles, guys. I'll pay quality price for my quality pickles for 2 jars.
What are they, like dill?
They're just dill pickled cucumbers, and they're so good. So good. And I like to support, you know, a nice local lady making pickles because I want her to keep doing it.
Nice
And times are tough.
lady.
And also because a lot of manufactured pickles have like a lot of preservatives in them. They make
Sulfites.
my tum hurt. I'm
Yeah.
actually allergic to sulfites. Is
You're drinking wine right
is
now.
what they told
Make you
us.
go bald.
I know, but white is fine.
Yeah, white's better than red for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it'll still hurt.
Oh well.
Um,
I wonder if kombucha helps.
kombucha
Get that
does.
wine bucha.
It does, yeah.
Is that a drink that lots of people are doing these days?
I still want to try some
I'm
of that
doing it.
in my wine,
Mm-hmm.
but this is the last glass of white wine.
Well, I mean...
I'm just gonna quickly add on to the finish
Sorry.
the pickle story. No. I get it. It's dragging on.
Hottie, you fucking idiot!
So I gave her the money, and I just got the pickles and I left. And I was like, that was a crazy experience that I just met a lady by a swamp and just got pickles from a van. Like, what a beautiful time we're living in.
That's true.
Because it was like
going back to the old times.
It was like buying weed in like the old times, you know, before you got to go to a store or something.
That'd be so cool.
It's like buying pickles that way.
You just know the guy that like makes the best bread in town.
Yeah.
So you go down to his place and you like chit chat for like, 20 minutes and like you just like, catch up a little bit.
You get a little bit of bread.
You get your bread from Buddy.
Yeah.
And you go over to the pickle lady and you're like, I'm making sandwiches tonight.
So
I need pickles now.
Yeah.
And you go visit the cow that makes all the milk.
It's nice to have those little people that you go to locally that are your customers. Well, and that's what I'm saying is going to these people locally. You'll build that loyalty because you'll just be people that like these are your customers. So what happened was I realized I gave her all the money that was in my wallet, but I'd put $5 extra in my wallet.
Oh yeah.
Which was fine. I was like, that's $5, whatever. They come, they go.
Oh yeah.
But then last night, I was on my phone and it died, and then I turned it back on and it was a voicemail. No missed call at all, but just a voicemail from this lady that said, "Hey, it's Sue. You gave me $5 extra for the pickles, so I owe you $5. Okay?" And she hung up. And I was like, okay.
She doesn't like to take extra.
She doesn't like to talk a lot.
She makes that pickles out of love.
The thing I like about her is like she barely talks. Like when I bought pickles from her, every time she just like she'll say like the price and she'll be like, "Thank you."
That's my kind of person.
Yeah, I really like it. She's not trying to like draw you into her stand. She's just like, I bought her pickles one time because I saw them and I was like, I like homemade pickles. And then I just, ever since went back, because I was like, I like your business style.
Yeah.
You shut up and you let me buy the pickles.
I don't want to know about what your daughter Bethany's doing.
No!
I just want the pickles, thank you, goodbye.
Yeah.
I like that sense of community, though, like catching up to at the same time.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want your fucking pickles.
That's true. That's true.
Because I was like, I wonder if she noticed that I gave her $5 extra by accident. Yeah. And then... But she did, and she was probably like, I wonder if she was like, I should probably tell her, like, because I'm going to keep buying pickles, but,
she wants,
she wants to keep me as a customer.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
She's going to give you $5 off your next pickle purchase.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
$5 credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll go back to this one.
I got a tip the other day. Well,
you did?
A while, maybe a week and a half ago. So, see, I don't know if it's a tip or not, because... One of those gray zone tips. You know what I mean? One of those gray tips.
Okay.
So I still need to address it with the individual that gave me this tip, but I all of a sudden I have direct deposit and it automatically deposits. And so I got $75 all of a sudden from one of my clients, and I was just like, damn, like that's already in my, like I don't know why why would he give me this? Like, that's a hefty tip. That's pretty good stuff. But I mean, we've been working together for a while now, and but I mean, so it's probably not a tip, but I'm gonna. So I'm gonna.
Went from a tip to maybe not a great tip. Well, I think you just answered your own question there.
Why would he go through all the effort of? Because if you
is that like the normal price you charge, or something, or?
The weird thing about it was the amount that was outstanding on his account, but that was for the company that contracts me, and
so he just gave you the money.
And so he just gave me the money, but there's no reason why, because the payment method hasn't changed, and that goes direct from I think a card that he has to the company, and then so he would have had to add me as a payee for e-transfer, right? He would have had to go through this process of adding me and everything, and I wish that in this instance, direct automatically depositing it has been really sweet for most of the time, but this is one of those times that I was just like, frick, like...
You want to know
maybe
why
he was
that
just
money's
like,
there.
Yeah. Well, if I owe $75, we'll give it to you fucking Elan.
We've had about 3 lessons since
he just thinks he'll give it to them.
And
but you didn't. And he didn't tell you that, so really it's not your problem. And if they have a problem, be like, I never got that money. So you prove it.
I'm not gonna do that. I'll be more upfront.
That just reminded me of something I really wanted to tell you about.
Oh yeah.
But I wasn't sure if you knew about or not.
Oh yeah.
Do you
what's
know
this?
what Fiverr is?
Fiverr.
Fiverr. You don't know what that is?
No.
Okay.
Fiverr.
So you know how I was telling you about what Twitch was the other day?
Yep.
It's a similar website, but it's specifically made for artisans or people who have really good talents of certain things. Generally, mostly musicians. And a lot of it comes down to collaborative music. And so there's like, you go to the pianist section, and there's like 30 pianists, and they list what they charge, like per hour or per song or whatever. And so SoundCloud DJs or anyone producing a music or whatever will literally purchase you for like an hour and say, hey, or like, I need you to make a loop sample for me to match with this beat. And they'll straight up give you like $30, $40 right there. And it's like really popular with people who are really good at instruments.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I really wanted to get you on that and show you what it was. It's really fucking cool.
That's dope.
There's
Wow.
a guy
It's like kind of like online studio. Work.
There's
like
this guy.
studio
There's
musician.
a bassist. There's a bassist
Session
that I
musician,
follow,
yeah.
and he goes on there all the time. And like he's like probably like one of the most incredible bassists I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And like he makes really good money on it, and it turned into a career because of it.
Wow.
Because he's not even on Fiverr anymore.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool.
Because
Yeah,
like if you're actually good, then you blow up, and then it's just like you constantly getting contracts. So like it's just like an Uber rating. Like your rating goes up.
Wow.
Oh yeah, so
Check out the
be
trombone section there too.
Yeah.
See what they got going on there.
Oh, for
Like-
sure. It is, and then there's guys that do like acting, or
Oh.
voice acting. There's people
Whoa,
that do
are you
voice
scared?
acting.
That was me
Did
just
someone go-
acting.
Everything's fine though?
Yeah, everything's
You were
fine.
acting?
I was acting.
That was really crazy.
Yeah,
Sorry, Lachlan.
No, it's good.
I was fast. Reacting.
Yeah, but no,
Acting
there's
is
lots of stuff on
react.
there. It's really cool.
That is really dope. I've never heard of Fiverr.
Mhm.
Fiverr before.
Fiverr.
Fiverr before. That's
Okay,
kinda
because
insane.
they toss you a Fiverr.
That's like the idea behind it, but you set your own price, like what you are
Right.
worth.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
That's cool.
I've heard of TaskRabbit.
never heard of that.
That's
So-
something different.
That's that's very similar thing though, because it's
That can be anything.
it's just it's the same idea where you set your own price, but it's anything.
Yeah.
It's anything. So if you need somebody to input some data on a spreadsheet or something like that, you post that on TaskRabbit and just work like that.
Oh, okay.
So if you need things to get done, put it on TaskRabbit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like if someone could come mow my lawn, I would put that on TaskRabbit.
Yeah, you could do that.
Like get a rabbit in here to mow it.
Yeah.
Like because rabbits do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or just a goat.
There's a local rabbit named Bowman.
That's
You know
true that your neighbor has a rabbit that he took in from the streets and he's often outside alone.
He just stays there.
I'll swipe him.
The other night.
Just borrow him for a day.
Yeah. The other night I was walking around and it was like 1 a.m.
He was just out.
and I didn't see him, but I heard this owl hooting and I thought
Oh
about him.
shit.
And then I heard a bunch of crows, like a bunch of crows, and they were all
Oh.
Like a murder worth.
a murder of crows.
Ooh.
They were
Yeah, please use the right
hassling they were hassling this owl because it was hooting away and you could hear these crows
Whoa.
just hassling it, you know.
They were like, get out of here.
Yeah.
We are owls.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Wise old owl.
Yeah, because owls are notoriously nerds. And
It's
notorious.
because they're smart and wise, and
They are.
the lower IQ people don't like smart people.
Mm-hmm.
So I was gonna talk about Fronty Patanters for a little while.
Classic Fronty Patanters.
Fronty
Tell us about them.
Patanters. Well,
And who coined that term?
that was you.
That was me.
Yeah, you found that.
Right. I founded it.
I don't know how you came up with Fronty, but I like that
I
word.
have gibberish running through my mind often.
Yeah.
And sometimes I say it.
Fronty Patanters, aka
Patanters.
perfect hash browns. People who love hash browns, do you like hash browns?
Hash browns? Do you like them?
Pretty good.
So we figured out,
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I figured out the best way to make pan-fried hash browns.
All right. Cocky, but all right. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It's simple, there's
It's a
not a
big
lot
claim.
to it.
It's
but-
a big claim.
But the reason why we call it Fronty is because that's a word that Kirst invented.
Yeah,
And it
Yeah.
describes the perfect hash brown when it's like crispy and like kind of braised, like brown. You know, it's browned up right to the maximum point before it starts to, the flavor profile goes downhill. and most of them are real crispy. You know, that's Fronty. But Fronty, on a deeper, more spiritual level, I was thinking about it on the bike ride I was on earlier today. It describes that perfect hash brown, but what is that? That means you put the time into making, because you know the experience is going to be amazing. So it's describing an amazing experience that's amazing because you put that love into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Fronty potatoes.
Extra Fronty.
Yeah. So
Wow.
perfect hash browns. Long, skinny of this. You get a pan, real hot. You cut your potatoes. Oops, I hit the mic. You cut the potatoes so that they're small, maybe 1 cubic centimeter maximum.
Maximum. No bigger.
You get the oil really hot. You maybe add it so that the pan has about 1.5 millimeters of oil across the bottom of it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, maybe 1 millimeter.
1.5 millimeters.
1.5 millimeters, maybe.
Just like, so like a smidgen?
Smidgen.
Okay.
We're losing Lachlan. The Island Hottie's getting distracted.
He's like,
No, I'm paying attention.
Okay.
he doesn't want to
My
know
neck's hurting
about
from
the
looking left.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's right. This the seating arrangement. You got to take a wide leg and a leaning back.
I mean, we could do
That's
the
what
whole
I've
thing just
learned.
looking at the screen and not looking at each other. That'd be an interesting way of doing it. But anyways, you get the pan really hot. You get those 1
Pan
cubic
hot.
centimeter. So the oil's not smoking, but it's almost at that smoking level.
Okay.
And then you throw the potatoes in when it's really hot.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the secret at this point is to spread them all out and get them nice and even.
Yeah.
Then you don't touch them. You
Yeah.
don't touch them until you need to
Before they're
flip
gonna
them.
burn.
Yeah, exactly. And then you flip them, and then you maybe do that one more time. You try your best to flip them all over. And you do that one more time. You bring it right to the state when you need to flip them. So minimal flipping at first,
Yeah.
and then at the end, the last sort of like 5-6 minutes of cooking, keep that pan really hot, and you just keep stirring it around every once in a while. The time that it sits gets smaller and smaller every time.
Yeah.
And then, bam, they take about maybe 13 minutes cooking.
Yeah. It's quick.
It's pretty quick.
It's a
Pretty
quick.
good.
It's not that
Yeah.
long.
No, it's not.
I'm more of a throw them in the oven while I cook my eggs and bacon kind of guy.
That's how Chris likes to do them, too.
I do like to put them. Well, I like them both, but sometimes you gotta switch it up.
I've been
'Cause when
honing
you-
the pan
When you're
fried
eating
ones for a
potatoes
while.
every day, you gotta
just
do
feel
it
like-
different.
If I'm just making hash browns, that sounds
Mm-hmm.
like a great way to do it.
Okay, so you know what
But
I
like
do?
if I'm cooking the rest of my breakfast, like that's a lot of.
So this is what I do. This
Yeah.
was my
It depends
routine
if they're
for a while.
breakfast or dinner.
No. You can still use this. This is a good single pan meal. So
Okay.
you check it out. You make your hash browns, and then they're done, right? They're good. So that you put them over to one side of the pan, and
Yeah.
then what you do is you take some chunks of cheese,
Yeah.
and you put those on top of the hash browns, okay?
Okay.
And then you crack a couple eggs in the space that you made in the pan, and then you put a lid on that, and you turn the burner off, and then the residual heat in the pan will be perfect to make sunny side up eggs. You take that lid
I'm
off.
hungry now.
Yeah, take that lid off. You got your potatoes and your hash browns, single pan.
Wow. Shit.
That's a great morning routine.
Wow. Well,
How do you make them in the oven?
what I've learned about making them in the oven
Those
is
Fronty ovens.
the Fronty oven potatoes is you boil them up. You boil them up in a frying pan. No, a pot with water. You chop them up. You dice them. You put them in the
How big?
water. You know, you can do it a little bit bigger than how you do it because they're going in the oven.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because I do like a bigger one if it can get crispy.
Yeah.
The pan fried ones.
These will take a bit longer, in my experience. So you heat the oven to like 450, and while you're boiling your potatoes, you put like I get a big Pyrex glass pan that I got from Denny's Dynamite Deals. That's
Whoa.
a plug. For
DDD.
Hashtag ad.
Yeah, that's right. He's not a
Please
sponsor,
sponsor
but
us.
I wish he were. Oh boy, we could get him.
I like that.
We just gotta go find him.
Oh, sure you
Yeah. So I put them in the big pan. I put it in the oven, and I let that heat up. So the
okay.
glass of the whole pan is heating up.
Okay, no oil in it yet.
No,
Okay.
you just heat it up.
Heating the glass
and
up.
then-
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's just like the vessel that it's going to be in is getting hot. And then, so it's boiling, and I put in some baking soda, just a smidge, and then...
Into the boiling potatoes?
Into that, yeah. Or like when it's into the water.
Okay.
And then some salt. Just smash. And then you stir it, and then once you can poke them with a fork, that's when you dump them into a colander.
How long
you
does that
strain
take?
them.
10
It takes
minutes?
as long as it.
Different potatoes take different times.
Yeah, well, you just gotta pay attention and be present with your potatoes, and don't be like doing a gymnastics routine while you're cooking. Don't learn a clarinet.
When you're cooking, you need to be cooking.
Yeah, just
if you want to make something delicious.
If you want to be like not burning it and making it good, pay attention. So that's what I learned about the Franti Patanters. Pay attention.
So you get those potatoes boiled.
Yeah, and sometimes I like to put them on a plate, and I get them all spread out on the plate, and I put them in the freezer, and I just...
Oh, you cool them off.
Yeah, I just cool them off, and then they get all cold, and that just gives it a chance to, get everything set up, get all the good nutrients rebalanced in the flavoring and the refrigeration
positive
process.
ions.
All the positive vibes are going on. All the thoughts and prayers really come out when you do that.
Make sure the potatoes gonna break. So then it's stressed out.
Every time I make those Franti Patanters, while they're in the freezer, I get on my laptop when I send out those thoughts and prayers.
I like to tweet while they're cooling.
Yeah.
And so you can toss them in a little bit of oil in a bowl. And some salt, and like whatever seasoning you want to put on the potatoes. I like to do rosemary.
Right.
And,
ooh, I love rosemary.
Right? So good.
Too.
And then, you get some coconut oil is what I like to use, because it usually like cooks all the way up. Like if you use canola oil, it like doesn't go away, and then it leaves the oil.
I've noticed that too. Coconut oil, like eventually
it goes
soaks.
away.
It soaks
Greasy,
into the potato.
It's greasy. It soaks into shit.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like you're eating
Oil.
a really greasy thing.
No, it kind of just makes it more moist. Kind of like buttered potato.
So it has like a way higher like evaporation temperature.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I get that in while they're cooling. I get all the oil to get hot in the pan. So the pan's hot. Now the oil's hot, and then you put the potatoes in. And they're sizzling.
Nice.
Oh boy, you better be careful you don't get burned.
Yeah.
Because they're sizzling.
And you put them back in the oven?
Yeah, you leave them because they're not cooked. They're frozen maybe.
Yeah.
They're not frozen, but they're cold. And then you cook them. They should be a little bit fluffy. A little bit. Because you tossed them. And also the baking soda makes them a little fluffy. They taste like restaurant quality. Like that. They taste like that's how they do it in the restaurant to make them... I think that's how they do it to make it crispy.
It out.
Crispy.
Wow.
It's cornstarch and
I
baking
think they
soda
deep fry
and stuff
them
like
when
that. They would be. They would. Yeah, but
that makes the.
But I don't have a
deadliest
deep fryer.
difference. That's true.
I want an air fryer.
Me too. Those things look sweet.
So expensive.
I wish they made them without Teflon though, because I'm not a big fan of Teflon.
Styrofoam is also bad.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Also, rabies.
Yeah.
Stay away.
I hate it. What's Teflon?
What is Teflon?
Yeah.
Teflon's that non-stick coating that's on any non-stick pan most of the time. Some of the high quality non-stick pans will actually have a ceramic coating on it. Those ones are really
Those are the ones I use.
Yeah, but the
like IROC's new line of cookware.
What new line?
IROC.
I don't know that one.
They do not sponsor us.
Like Iraq.
Kind of, but rock.
Rock like a stone.
It's because the pattern of their ceramic is looks like a rock.
Oh, those sound like nice cookware.
Mm-hmm.
But Teflon, a lot of people don't like it because it inevitably comes off eventually, and it's not good for you. So like when your pan is brand new and you're using it for the first year or few months or whatever, it's fine probably. But like you're heating up like a very volatile thing that degrades really quickly, and it's just
bad for you.
Bad
chemicals in your pans.
Yeah.
See, this is why we should be using sticks and fire. Kids, get out there.
I was I had this idea earlier that I was talking to you guys about for an art installation. I decided it was going to be.
Yeah, okay.
Go
on.
So you could. Everybody wants to poop off something. Really
I forgot. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Everybody dreams of having. Everybody has different dreams about how they want to poop. You know, the most idyllic poop that you could
Okay.
possibly imagine. So like the thought came to me earlier today. I was thinking about. I was with you guys. I was hanging out, and I was just thinking about poops.
You were thinking about it as you
And,
often do aloud.
Yeah, it's true. The words just started flowing out.
Verbal diarrhea.
Passionate about poop.
And so I was thinking, my
Yes.
fantasy for pooping would probably be if you had. So I was envisioning a building. Okay, so and you climb up to the top of this really tall building. It's like 40 stories. So, I mean, that's a lot of stories. Is that too much? 40?
40 stories?
That's a big building.
I would be
It's a
scared.
very big building.
So, anyways,
That poop's killing
40
down there.
story building.
Like
And so
the
you-
Space Needle.
Yeah. And so you go
It's
up.
not that high.
you go up to the top of it, okay? And so the toilet
Yeah.
is situated on the edge of. So it's kind of a thrill-seeking thing if you're into
Ooh,
that.
a little
So,
bit of adrenaline.
so the toilet seat is on the
Adrenaline poop.
edge, so that the top part of the toilet seat is on the edge of the building. So you go up on there, and it's all reinforced and everything. It's all good to sit on. You know, super fat people could sit on it. It would be fine. No. Super fat people. And you go sit on that, okay, and you get on your phone. Okay, this is the second part of this fantasy. You get on your phone, and there's a live streaming camera down at the bottom where the other part of the toilet is, and that's down at the bottom of the ground floor, and you get to watch on your phone the live cam of your poop hitting, and it's all lined up perfectly. You get to see it hitting that toilet at like maximum speeds. You get to that's basically it.
I tried to explain to him earlier that that's like horrible lens abuse.
It would be bad for the camera that has to capture that. But you're saying that you would have to be far away
Yeah,
and
zoom
zoomed
lens.
in.
Right.
There
Maybe
you go.
drone
That's true.
footage.
Drone footage. Yeah.
Oh my god,
Drone,
you have
you
a
could
drone
watch it.
tracking.
See what I'm talking about? That would be the best poop ever. That would be the best poop ever. That would be so exhilarating.
I'm not gonna lie, if there was a thing, I would, and like, after like, you know how when you go on like a roller coaster, they take pictures or whatever?
Yeah.
Like they give you a recording of your poop. I
Yeah.
would fucking show it to
Hey,
everyone.
oh yeah.
Hey, look at it.
Like,
Dude,
dude,
I'm
check
telling
out this
you.
most amazing poop I took. No one in the history of the world has taken a better poop than me. Oh.
Man, I'm telling you, that would be awesome. It would be really
I'm
crazy.
kind of getting into it now, as much as I hate it.
I thought about it a few times since we talked about it, and I was like, you know, it's a unique idea. But it's kind of like that, like dropping a penny off a building thing. Like, wouldn't it, like, it could split somebody in half if it hits somebody.
There's no. It's going in a
But
toilet.
I know,
There's
but
no-
if you shit on someone,
Someone's just like,
from
oh,
that
there's
far
a
away-
toilet. I
Stop.
really need to use it. And they go and sit down, and they just get demolished by the high speed.
a public outdoor toilet in the open wasn't a good idea to use.
It would be
I
closed
picture it
off.
being in the open.
There would be a
In your mind, it's closed?
there would be a gate. There would be a
Okay.
fence.
I
And,
wasn't
like,
seeing
sign.
a fence
Obvious
in my
signs
mind.
of shit splatter.
It would
I
be
feel like
atrocious.
it'd be messy and there'd be a lot of camera
That
crews
fucking
around.
toilet would be horrifying.
No, you'd get a pressure washer and you just pressure, because you know, I guess, okay, there'd be different experiences. It'd be like, do you want a dirty toilet or a clean toilet? It'd be like, I want the nastiest toilet you can get. Be like, okay, get this guy at the bottom of the list. We'll schedule him in at night.
You don't always gotta cater to the weird fetishes.
People that want a clean toilet have it earlier in the day. You know.
So it's like a thing that you can go use. And
Yeah.
you pay.
Yeah, you pay a small
It's
fee.
like a tourist attraction.
Kind of, but it also
Ugh.
is just like could
It's
be
a
part of
communal
some
thing.
people's routine. It could be a communal thing. You know, if you imagine how
So
decadent that would be
disappointing.
to be able to do that every day.
If you did it off a cliff on the shore, it would clean itself
Yeah.
every day.
I feel like in a more secluded, like,
That's a good
scenic
point.
location would be better. Like,
Near
off a
the
cliff
ocean?
would be better for me.
Like on the cliffs of Dover, shitting off the cliffs of Dover.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking epic.
That would be really cool. Okay, so you could do different ones. You could get the urban experience. You could get the natural experience. Those high poops, baby.
What if
I
it was
feel
like
we
a
should just travel
swing
the
in a
world and do a
tree?
YouTube series of shitting off cool high places.
Yeah.
I like
I
that.
feel like you get a lot of views.
I would love it, and it would be
and you get to travel the
spiritually.
world too.
Yeah.
It would be spiritual. It would be artistic. It would be traveling. What else? It would be shitting.
Be gross.
Defecation.
Yeah.
That's what you
Against
want.
terms of service.
Yeah, a lot of
I'm sure it'd be against the law.
Yeah.
a lot of places will try to.
Is there any more wine? We got a
Oh
wine.
yeah, there's some red wine only left.
Hell yeah.
I have to pee.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
What should we do now?
Well, you should go pee.
Oh, in this cup.
You don't got a
We're
shoe.
gonna put it on. Yeah, I have a shiwi.
We'll take
It's with me.
We'll take. Oh, that's wonderful. We'll take turns peeing. I'm sure we'll all have to pee at some point. And we're gonna be here for hours.
Now while she's gone, let's open her notes and go pick the best ones and talk about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's read through this novel that Chris wrote for us.
That really poor representation of my goals.
I just want to be the best person. Social distancing.
I'm balding. And
Are
he's
you?
got this going on.
Let me see.
You can see like.
You don't really look like. Oh, I guess it is thinning a little
it's
bit.
thinning out. I think it's just because I've been so stressed from the oil field.
It's not that bad.
I
though.
found it. It's actually like I've been on the island for a month now, and my stress is like pretty much gone because I have like a plan now, and like my hair's going blonde again, and like it's not as thin.
My sister.
Almost.
Yeah.
Like
The sun and everything.
Mhm.
Will help.
I've been healthier, and I've been no stress basically because I have a bunch of money saved, and I've already accepted the university and everything, so I'm just like chilling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's interesting. My sister sent me a video. I haven't watched it yet, but it was this really funny. I think his name is Triggered or something. He's a YouTuber, and I think it was him. He found out how to reverse male pattern baldness through diet, and he reversed his baldness through diet. No
There's,
supplements or anything.
there's a lot of studies on how guys like with male pattern baldness going on plant-based diets.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, I think that's what it
strictly-
was. I think
strictly
that's what it
plant-based
was.
Diets
Yeah.
actually stops it,
Yeah.
which is like not really a thing that I could do. I don't know.
Why not?
I don't think I could ever not eat meat.
You don't have to do anything
Like, I'm not
permanently,
a
but
big red meat eater, but like chicken.
but it's so good to just go through those things as kind of like exercises. Like it doesn't have to be permanent, but it can be a challenge.
Yeah,
you
that's
know that
true.
you challenge yourself
I
with.
feel like it'd be a lot easier once I'm in university again,
Mm.
because like being in the oil field, if I was to like mention that I'm not eating meat right now, they'd be like, "What are you fucking queer?" or something like. They'd just like start calling me horrible names and shit. It's just like, no.
That's funny. Man, I'd probably have a hard time up there with this hair, huh?
There's a lot of hippie guys up there. They just get made fun of a lot. You gotta have really thick skin to work in the oil field. You can do whatever you want in the oil field. You just gotta have thick skin. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Slap a few guys around once in a while.
Oh, Curse is back. Hey, I'm gonna pee too. We're gonna swap out here.
We're swap out.
We're swapping out.
Okay.
Do you gotta pee though?
No. I
Do you have
got
to pee?
a full grown adult bladder.
Oh.
And I also peed before we started like a professional.
You did pee before we started, and we
professional,
did
yeah. I
not.
know.
Well, where's your favorite place you've ever peed? Like, on a cliff, have you done? Do you have a favorite
I've
place?
actually peed. It's just kind of weird, but I actually have kept note of that kind of thing.
You have a
because-
pee journal?
Well, not a pee journal, but just like mental. Like I know of cool places I've peed.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's probably a tie. I peed on top of a sand dune in Australia, like the highest
Oh.
sand dune in like the local desert. I don't know what it's called.
Wow. You
it's
peed up there?
Yeah, it's in New South Wales. Just you know where Australia, and it has like
I know
peak.
where Australia
It has
is,
the
yeah.
peak down there at the little bottom.
Yeah, the
It's
little
just
bottom.
just up there.
Okay.
That's what the desert was. So I peed off of the top of a sand dune, which was really cool.
You peed off of it or onto it?
Well, both.
Okay,
I
yeah.
was on the top of it.
Yeah, that
I
makes
guess I
sense.
peed onto it.
That makes sense.
And I also peed. I went to Scotland to play rugby,
Yeah.
and
You did?
I did.
That's fun.
Yeah, there was
I like that.
That's dope.
there
wish
was
I was
a
part of that.
yeah, it was a lot of work to raise the money for it.
Mm-hmm.
But we went to this one field that was like completely gated off. No one was allowed in there, and there's like a giant statue of William Wallace. And it, like historically was a field. Like there's
Who's that?
you know who William Wallace is?
No.
Like the
I know.
independence fighter of Scotland. Like he's the one who rallied the farmers and the people to fight against England.
Oh,
He was
William.
trying to enslave the people.
he was the guy that painted his face.
Well, that's Braveheart. That's the.
Is that him?
That's that actor guy.
What's his name?
I can't remember now. He's incredibly famous. I feel really dumb for not remembering.
Me too.
But
you remember his name?
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
No.
It's not Tom Cruise. Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Great actor. Great fucking actor. Very eccentric. But
Yes.
yeah, that's just his adaptation of it. That was just part of the movie.
I heard that
there's
movie
no
was
actual.
horribly inaccurate.
Yeah, they made some stuff up.
Yeah.
Almost like it was a movie.
It's still got the exciting though, right? But
That's true.
William Wallace he was a lord of a family. I think McDonald clan. I can't remember.
Oh,
But
What does that mean to be a lord?
like he was just higher up the
you
station.
got a cool coat.
Yeah. But he
haircut.
inspired.
You get to have
He
your
helped
hair
inspire
cut.
the people to revolt against the English who were basically raping their land,
Oh,
in lack of a better term.
yeah.
But this field was where a giant place, and it was fenced off, and it was like known where a bunch of dead people are from the fight. And I peeked the fence onto it.
Nice.
You peed through onto the dead people.
On some
I am
ancient
100.
graves.
I am
Onto
100.
some ghosts?
I am 100% Scottish, so it just kind of felt right. I don't know. I don't know why I did it.
It was an ancient thing.
Yeah.
It was
was a
deep
moment.
down in your
It's
blood.
just-
You were like, I'm
That's
gonna piss
cool,
on
and it
this land.
resonated with you.
Yeah, it just felt right, and I was like,
Wow.
That's cool. I would love to go to Scotland. Much of my heritage is from Scotland too.
Mm.
It is a cool place.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's really cool. It rains a lot. They don't joke about that.
So rainy.
Like it's very cold and rainy there all the time.
Yeah.
But like I went to Edinburgh Castle. I climbed a clock tower in like a really skinny stairwell, like one of those creepy ass, really
Crazy.
steep,
It's like
tiny.
made of stone.
Yeah, like
Oh,
back
yeah.
when people were smaller. Like back in those
Right.
days, I would be a giant.
That's crazy to think about.
Wow.
Like it's a historically beautiful place, like, and it's very well kept.
Mm.
Yeah, and like
That's
I went
cool.
to so many little towns like Galashiels and went and played rugby there, and it's just like a little farm town, but
Wow.
it was just super cool.
I've been listening a lot about ancient Gaelic cultures, and it's and like its connection with magic and the occult and everything like that, and it is incredible.
Oh, so much.
The connections that the Celtic cultures, those Gaelic and Celtic cultures had with paganism and nature and magic and all this.
That's where a lot of I can't remember the name of the certain belief system, but a lot of it came from Ireland and Scotland.
Totally.
And
The Gnostics
it's
in that
one
area.
of the coolest things about it is like a lot of their warriors, like they'd used a lot of furs and ground minerals for like body paint and that kind of stuff, and they had warriors known for habitually before battle taking mushrooms.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
to
crazy.
get them into a crazed state.
Huh.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
And like they were known as like it translates to berserkers roughly,
Right.
but and they were known, and they literally like before the sun rose the morning they would stay up all night and then brew a tea out of literally magic mushrooms, and go into like a crazed state for battle.
That's
and
incredible.
Fuck people up.
Wow.
And like they were terrifying apparently.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I was listening to this guy, this other YouTuber, Thomas Sheridan. He has a really good channel. I like his stuff.
Yeah.
He's pretty. He's a pretty crazy guy, but he's cool. And he was talking about how a lot of the symbols, like if you put yourself in a dark room with no light whatsoever for several days, you'll start to hallucinate geometry. There's this like screensaver mode that the mind goes into where it just starts showing you geometry.
Just like maybe keep your eyes going. Or
Yeah.
That's the theory that they have with it, but
Right.
but geometry inherently is incredibly powerful in terms of teaching somebody something about architecture, about the stars, about the sphere of the planet, the structure of the planet itself. So there's these, like a lot of the Celtic crosses, or like just like those cardinal points. A lot of that comes from that, supposedly from just when your mind slips into the screensaver mode. And like, so when throughout history people would have these, either that or from psychedelic experiences, because like anybody who has ever done psychedelics knows that you also see that shit too. Well, I guess it doesn't happen every experience, but in the right circumstances you will definitely get spontaneous geometry that is more complex and more artistic than you would even be able to imagine. It just happens all of a sudden. It's like that geometry. It's like art is deeply ingrained within the fabric of ourselves in general, and the fabric of nature everywhere itself. It's crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Art is a manifestation of people's emotions. So. I mean, it makes sense when you're so derived of any kind of expression that your mind would go to a state of creating its own.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I think
it's just like sensory deprivation. Like
totally.
You go into that kind of a state, and your brain goes, "Okay, well, we need something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't just go inactive if we don't do that."
You ever done that before?
No, fuck no, I'm horribly claustrophobic.
Well, you can get out whenever. It's not that claustrophobic.
That's not how claustrophobia works, though. I don't trust anybody to open that fucking thing or anything like that. What if they lock me in?
Yeah, I mean, it's a certain setting. It's not as claustrophobic as a lot of different settings, but I feel you.
Yeah.
It's a really cool experience. If they could have an open space one somehow, that'd be really cool.
Like a very large one.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
like that's fine.
There's this resort in Germany that you can go to. It's like a retreat. It's called a darkness retreat, and you can go there and you essentially get a room and the hallway you get into darkness 100% for like as long as you want. So this guy that I was listening to, he went there for 7 days, and he just went into the darkness, and he did all of his stuff in the darkness, and then he went through like ayahuasca level tripping out just from the darkness. But it's interesting because you don't get the body load that psychedelics give
sense.
You, because it's purely the darkness that's everything. It's just your mind that's playing out. So it's like there's a lightness in terms of the body processing what is going on, but it's crazy. So I got really intrigued with that. I really want to do an experience like that, and that has to be an experience while I'm alive.
That's crazy because that's not like a natural thing to like experience. You have to like force yourself into it. Like,
yeah, but it kind of is.
I mean,
we had our originations in caves a lot of the time.
What if
I mean, like
what if
now
it
it's
used
hard
to
to
be
get to that.
a normal thing?
I think it used to be.
Yeah.
I feel like we're
at
so
one
out of
point.
touch. Like there's a lot that humans are missing out on these days that we used to be.
Yeah.
We have too many distractions now.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's that old saying that God speaks in moments of silence, and I think that having absolutely no light is sort of akin to silence too, just in the light spectrum. That's the equivalent of silence. And it's so true when one is totally quiet and not getting any input, and also totally dark. Amazing things start to manifest, and the nature and the quality of the mind becomes boundless.
I just had a crazy thought when you're thinking about that. Okay, so like, this is very biblical, but you know how theologistically Jesus would put into a cave closed upon the rock
True.
for 3 days.
Yeah.
But he wasn't dead, and he went in there and had the craziest revelations.
Yeah.
And that's why he came out so much more
So
crazy.
reborn.
Jesus wasn't dead.
You just
He
got
never
a dose
will
of the
be.
darkness. Man.
I don't want to fuck with religion too much because I don't.
No,
want,
we fuck
I don't
with
want,
religion on here.
I don't like
Yeah.
shitting on people's beliefs.
Well, it's not shitting on it. Like everything's open for.
I said shit with, not shit on.
Okay.
Shit with
Shit with.
off a building with people's beliefs.
Speaking of ancient civilizations, what about the Orphic tradition that ended up celebrating Dionysus, which is very apt because we're all having some wine.
Yeah.
Pass that empty one so I can fill it.
Oh yeah.
And so
It's been killing me
Dionysus.
that it's just been sitting
What do you know
out there
about
all
Dionysus?
morning.
Well, they're the god of
There's only red left though.
oh yeah, the god of wine, religious ceremony, and
There you go.
thank you. And like theater
That's true.
and sexy times.
Yeah.
Well, shit, ladies and germs, call me DNS.
It sounds like a fun thing to be a part of.
There was one in there that I was like, ooh.
So, DNS, I'm going to read something from this book called The Occult, Colin Wilson. It's a great book.
An excerpt.
Not a sponsor.
This is an excerpt of this. So
Not a sponsor, but maybe one day.
He talks about Dionysus. And so Dionysus was quickly accepted in 7th century Greece because he was exactly what the Greeks needed to complete their pantheon of gods. Under the name Bacchus, he became the god of wine, and his symbol was sometimes an enormous phallus. Fraser speaks of Thracian rites involving wild dances, thrilling music, and tipsy excess, and notes that such going-ons were foreign to the clear rational nature of the Greeks. But the religion spread like wildfire through Greece, especially among women, indicating perhaps a revolt against civilization. It became a religion of orgies. Women worked themselves into a frenzy and rushed about the hills, tearing to pieces any living creature they found. Euripides' play, The Bacchae, tells how King Pentheus, who opposed the religion of Bacchus, was torn to pieces by a crowd of women, which included his mother and sisters, all in Bacchic frenzy. In their ecstasy, the worshippers of Bacchus became animals and behaved like animals, killing living creatures and eating them raw. So that's a side that I never learned about in grade 7 Greek mythology.
No, they're hiding that part about the orgies.
The orgies and that animalistic frenzy that...
Yeah. It kind of sounds like what I've been trying to start for years around these
Sounds
parts.
exactly what you're trying to start.
But, yeah, I think that Dionysus was also...
He was a horn god, too.
Yeah, which would explain why he's also represented by the bull.
True.
With the bull.
True.
Or serpents, or grapevines.
Yeah.
Stuff like that in art. Yeah, super cool. They would have phallus parades for him.
True.
The penis parades.
So I think Bacchus was interrelated with mushrooms, too. Personally,
yeah.
magic mushrooms, because he, there's all these stories about wine in ancient Greek where they would have a glass of wine and then there's these stories of them reaching ecstasy and having these amazing experiences off of wine, that sweet, sweet wine, and that's not really the typical experience of wine. But if you fermented wine with psilocybin in it, having just one glass of that would absolutely give all of those things. And this thing about, on the Joe Rogan Experience, he had this fellow on that talked a lot about the Manson murders and how LSD was involved with that, and the CIA was using LSD to facilitate mind control and get people into these hypnotic states. So that, the groups of women turning into animals and killing and eating live people and other animals,
right.
That sounds to me more like a hypnotic trance. That sounds really similar to what this fellow was talking about, the CIA being involved in.
There's actually a lot of accounts, like especially with China, with them using opium or psychedelics, different kinds of things, to keep, like, I guess you would call them harems full of women inside of these large brothel rooms.
Wow.
Where men could just visit. It's very musty, full of smoke. These women are always, like, basically forced to be drugged the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And men could just come in, have a great time, and then leave. Yeah. Like, it was very prevalent in China. But that kind of sounds like the similar thing, like, to an extent.
This was getting right up to the point of not tricking these people, but like hypnotizing these people to commit murder.
That's what I mean. Like,
and then they wouldn't even remember it. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So that's pretty crazy. The Orphic tradition was interesting. So that's where we get the word Orpheus from, and it's all about dreams and theater. So it's interesting that the god for theater is also the god of dreams, and his character is so Bacchus, Dionysus, Persephone, was that one of them? I can't remember. No. And so these are all characters that have went to the underworld, so there seems to be this connection. Same with Christ too. Christ had that.
Christ did that.
Character that's part of his story where he died, and you go into the underworld, which in my mind is what that means to me is pure mind, no body. You're in completely a mental realm, which that probably knows no bounds whatsoever, and they always come back. That's the trope of these characters, and so the.
What does trope mean in English?
I don't know exactly, but the way that I hear it, used is like a character trope. So there's a repeating quality of a character. He's got these tendencies. There's a tendency of a character.
Okay, it's like a recurrence of somebody.
It's like an obvious constant trait.
But it's used as a theatrical device, a narrative device.
Idiosyncrasy, if you will.
Sure.
Ah.
A laugh track is like a very crude trope.
Oh, okay.
With like sitcoms, in a sitcom.
It's a trope.
Just for like a loose example.
Okay. I'll learn new words.
So the Orphic tradition, they had one of the peculiarities in their area in terms of, so this was a religion. They celebrated Dionysus as a god. Like they were very religious about it, and they introduced this concept that humans were in this grievous cycle of birth as a human, and they were caught in this cycle that maybe they would eventually get out of with their own wisdom, but more likely they would need secret rituals and initiation rites that would get them eventually out of that pattern of reincarnation into these very similar lives, spiritually stuck, essentially. And those rites would also allow them to commune with the gods. That was part of how they would discover how to live and how to make decisions in such a way that they wouldn't have to be stuck in the same patterns that they've been in for eternity. And they can move on to the next level of existence. And so that communion with God, like again, like psychedelics come in, because on high doses of like DMT and stuff, you interact with, and this is shit that's always been there on this planet. You interact with alien entities, and high doses of psilocybin, you interact with alien entities. You interact with these things that seem intelligent but are existing outside of one's own consciousness. One can still feel one's consciousness, and it's strange because you can be cognizant that this is happening within one's mind, but it feels like our story of what mind is not the complete story. Because mind itself actually seems more like an environment that there's still yet a deeper version of myself that exists within. So there's a point of awareness, and then there's mind, which point of awareness lives in, exists in. And mind is like the environment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah. There's this whole playground in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that almost like we share that though.
There's also like with different people have different levels of that state, like have a better connection to it. Like for instance, like I just learned the other day, not everyone can manifest images in their head. Like
I learned that not that long ago too.
What does that mean?
I can think
some
about.
People don't think visually.
I can
like
think
they
about.
Can't. They couldn't, or they just don't.
I can think about a red star right now. If I close my eyes, I can easily picture like an exact red star. It's a vibrant black outline. Red star.
A red star. Okay.
There's people that can't.
Like they can't.
They know what
they know
how
to,
to.
Too.
Yeah, they know how to put. They know what a red star is, obviously, but if to actually try to like manifest an image in their mind, it never happens. They're only
what about that old
textual
thing?
based, so that they'll just all they will do is repeat red star. They'll never actually manifest an image.
What about that old thing of
That's crazy.
That old thing
I didn't
about
know.
What about that thing about people saying you like don't think about a pink elephant, and then that's sort of a trick to like instantly
You think
make
about a pink elephant.
everybody thinks about a pink elephant. So I mean, are they using their visual imagination to do that?
But everyone has a visual imagination, though.
There's
like capabilities,
There's
right?
different levels of it, and there are people
Right.
that don't have any.
That'd
So,
be
like, when they read
weird.
There's also people
when
that
they read a book, they don't see the book.
yeah, but
They just see the words.
they found
Whoa.
with that though, imagination can actually be trained, which is it's a different
believe
touch
in
base
that.
of it. It's a different
Oh,
different
okay.
level of it. It's the same way how there's people out there that like their inner voice, like you know when you talk to yourself, it's like
Yeah.
the most perfect refined version of your voice
Mhm.
Oh,
that never
interesting.
actually comes out.
Yeah.
There's people out there that don't have that, and when they think, they just see text.
Oh.
Like there's so
So
many.
they have to learn how to read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, language is like language is like the biggest reason why we're conscious beings.
Yeah.
If we didn't have language, we wouldn't be conscious.
We wouldn't even be doing
No.
half this shit.
But it's just crazy how many different types of brains there are in the world.
It is interesting because I was like, is everyone the same in there?
No, like it's
But no, there's no way.
wildly different.
There's no way.
I think I've been realizing recently that there's a lot more languages that we're speaking than I realized before, than I initially realized. Like, so people say that without language we wouldn't have consciousness. And I tend to agree with that, but I don't think it's necessarily like spoken language only because there's body language, you know, and we all speak body language fluently, but we don't realize it. That it's on an even deeper, more primitive level
Yeah.
than linguistic language, and we're constantly speaking it to each other, right? And so that's probably where consciousness lied before. There tends to always be a language. Existence itself tends to tell a story, and that's what's being portrayed through the whatever language you're speaking, whether it's
Yeah.
body language or auditory language or
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I definitely did a bad. I explained that a little bit wrong to an extent.
No, you did a good job.
Yeah, but just like, sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. But there are another type of brain is there are people that don't have, literally cannot, they don't have inner dialogue.
Right.
They don't have an inner anything.
They're not talking to
so
inside.
the
like-
first time they try psychedelics or smoke weed, they're gonna have
Loud.
a terrible time because it's gonna be
Probably.
super loud.
Very
dude.
loud.
But the one of the guys that had this was explaining it because obviously you can still be incredibly intelligent about it, but he said his thoughts are generally just instincts and feelings. Like he doesn't think, damn, that's a really cool car. He sees the car and he gets excited, but like mentally also, like on the inside, which we don't do
Right.
that.
But he doesn't like. He,
I think
he
we
doesn't have
do.
the thought.
But
of,
like not
that's a
to the
cool
extent
car.
that he does, because
Right.
that part of him is so much more developed because that's the way his brain works.
Right.
So like he
Right.
knows the way that's coming out.
Right.
The same way like he sees a very attractive person, then like that'll be his mental process. Whereas we would go like, wow, she's really beautiful, or that kind of thing. And it's just crazy trying to explain it. And it's just wild, like to me to think of
He's just
not
always in the
having
moment.
an inner dialogue.
Mm.
How do you like think things through?
How do you make it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the intuition. Like if you're that in the moment, like you
Mhm.
just kind of move in, you just kind of see your path. You're like, this is gonna happen, and I know that this is what I need to do now to get this outcome. You kind of just get that.
But what about like rehearsing a song or something like that? You know, like because you need to like repeat that in your head.
But I
to get it
think
down.
I feel like you would just have a clear like, oh, I just need to repeat it, and you just like
Just repeat it out loud. Everything's done in the real world. You just do everything in the physical space. You don't take any care of the business upstairs.
Like that could
I don't
be
know.
a big explanation for people why they talk to themselves. They don't have an inner dialogue, so they speak to themselves.
speaking out. Do people speak out loud because they can't because the inner
I
voice in their head?
I talk to
doesn't
myself
happen?
because it comes a lot clearer sometimes.
Oh yeah, that
When
definitely.
I really need to focus on something and I need to explain, like
You gotta
read
say
something
it
out,
out
I'll
loud.
say it out loud to myself.
Yeah.
And it becomes a lot clearer.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the mind, I mean, I don't think we're discovering the end of that anytime soon.
Yeah, right.
No, we're gonna keep on looking into it. We're gonna pick the brains.
Yeah, exactly.
You ever want to pick someone's brain? You see someone, you're like, I want to pick your brain.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, like maybe look and touch it a bit.
Yeah.
See where your photons fire.
I'd be down.
Yeah. I want to touch a brain. Would you want to touch your own brain if you could?
Yep.
Because apparently you can't feel it, right?
Yeah.
If you touch it.
There's no...
If someone just
Feeling
had your head
organs.
open,
Maybe
or like you wanted to feel it, and would you say yes or no?
I put my tongue on it. I'm like,
You can't.
tastes like gravy.
Can't put your tongue
I don't know how long my tongue is.
Do you think would you cuddle somebody like that?
on it. Would I cuddle?
With
Wait,
their brain open?
with someone's
Would you-
brain open?
Would you would you pay? Like, so I got my brain open. Would you pay them to cuddle with them?
I don't know if I would pay to cuddle with somebody because I am poor, and I don't think it would be that hard.
Some
to
people
get it
do
for
that
free.
apparently.
Yes, some people do it.
There's definitely people that need a higher level of physical contact that can't obtain that. And so I could see the need for needing to pay for it.
Yeah, what
I can see that too.
what I saw of the professional cuddling today was the Japanese one was very
Professional
Leave
It
it
was
up to the
not-
Japanese
it was not
to make professional cuddling the best it could be.
Well, the Canadians have done it too. Okay, so it's not just the
She
Japanese.
was kind of frumpy though, wasn't she?
She was way more comforting than the lady dressed in the costumey maid outfit that was like a diarrhea brown. It was like it's just and in like it was like
She
in
looked scared and damaged.
the place that the massages. No, they weren't just okay. It was massages. They were doing massages at that one at the Japanese.
Yeah, but in
one.
Canada you can't do that.
You cannot touch mouths either.
You cannot touch mouth. You can't massage. You just
I
cuddle.
like it when they say
you can
touch
cuddle.
mouths. Like you can't.
Mouth
like,
is
like it
enough to
accidentally
touches.
graze somebody's mouth and be like, oh, whoops.
You just know that like
I'm a cop.
a heavily religious lawmaker put those into effect.
Yeah, like who was like, you
Oh, yeah,
can't touch
definitely.
mouths.
Yeah.
Like,
like-
what kind of square? Like,
It's like, that's a slippery slope.
that's a touching butts.
Kissing leads to sex like pooing leads to
Premarital
farting.
kissing leads to the devil.
Okay, that was a lot of good analogies there.
I know.
Well, yeah, okay, so there was like an apartment in the Japanese one where it was just like all like sheets like just hooked up. So it was just like these, it was like a
These
hospital
little
room, but like
cubicles where you
makeshift.
could cuddle.
Yeah, like a just disgusting
Because
bed.
people are so deprived of human contact that they...
Yeah. They were following a one man who was 24-year-old, and he said he had never had sex. He didn't have any female friends, and he played a lot of video games. And he was like, but I just want to cuddle with a lady, see what it's like.
Right.
And then he did like it. He was like, that was a nice
I
time.
bet you he liked it. I bet you liked it a lot.
Yeah, he was like, that was good.
That was probably
As-
a creamy time for him.
Yeah, I bet he creamed right
Now
in his
imagine
panties.
making emotions with someone and having real cuddles.
Yeah, he was saying that, like, he likes the video game girls better because, like,
Yeah,
they don't make fun of him and, like,
Yeah, they can't
he's
make
been
fun
let
of
down.
him.
It sounds like the guy's been hurt.
Oh yeah,
He's
like
been
you watch it, you're
damaged.
like, oh, some girls were mean to you
Yeah.
in school.
Yeah.
They talk some shit behind your back, and
Yeah.
you did not get over
He's
it.
probably just one of those nice guys. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy. Come on, baby. I'll treat you right.
He just seemed like a nerdy guy that was like he
He's an
never probably
incel.
tried.
He's
an
yeah,
incel.
yeah, he didn't.
Classic.
All
Incels
his
give a
nerdy
terrible name
friends-
to like so many things.
Yeah,
That's true.
it was like all his Japanese nerdy friends were the same as if you put his nerdy friends anywhere. Like nerdy friends of any culture, you see that group of guys, you're like, those are nerdy friends.
It's called an incel because it means
Or incel.
involuntary celibate. But don't you think that in a lot of ways
They
it's
were
voluntarily
voluntarily
celibate?
doing
Because
it.
those guys could be reading books about emotion, they could be working out and getting in good physical shape. You know, they could
Yeah.
be doing all of these things that would make them not celibate anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they could start
But they
small.
were saying they didn't even want to do that. They
That-
were like,
well, that
video
should be
game
called-
girls are better.
That should be called Von cells
Voncel.
or Vol cells.
So that's actually interesting. Like the big idea behind incels, and the reason why they're called that is because they believe they're involuntarily virgins.
So they're
Yeah.
playing the victim.
There's actually a really cool video on the YouTube channel Jubilee. I don't know if you've ever seen that. But they're the guys that do like the 5 straight people, 1 queer. And it's like they all have a discussion and like who's who and that kind of stuff. They have like really cool kind of conversations about different things. And they actually had a video of an incel.
They caught a video.
Well, he volunteered. He volunteered to come out and like try to explain to people like what being an incel is.
Yeah.
And it gives this crazy in-look into what it is.
Yeah.
And so like from that video, it's like so clear that what it is that he, from video games and literature and movies, sees all these guys just constantly getting what they want from women, because like they're always generally portrayed as objects. So it's like easily obtainable in his point of view, but then when these incels go out and try to do it, they get horribly shut down because they don't know how to talk to women like they're people.
Yeah.
They talk to them like they're not people.
Right.
And then they get horribly shut down, and they think it's not their fault.
Right.
And so they become into this like woman-hating, horrible kind of person. And it's fucking awful.
No doubt.
And he even like halfway through the video kind of started to realize how shitty his point of view was.
Just hearing himself speak.
Like, now that I'm explaining it, I see.
It sounds bad.
It sounds bad. Cause
it's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy when they're like, they blame women for just being like, just bad and like not liking them, but like they don't look at like how they are at all.
Blame half of the human race.
Yeah. It's so crazy to just be like, all women are not as good. Like that one guy who was like, a real woman would never be as good as a video game woman because video game women are created by men.
Oh,
and I was like, oh
probably.
no, you're gay.
Yeah.
You know, that's
But it's bound to happen with like how like sexist the media is and everything, like, and how they create things. Like even women, when they make things, make it from a male point of view and make it's insane. And so it's no surprise to me that people come out like this. That some people never try to look at themselves and think about their own point of view. Like it's inevitable that there's gonna be fucking morons.
It totally makes sense with the kind of like content that's being put out with like the like cartoons based on video games that are like pornographic that are like aimed at young men that have obviously never been with like real women in their life, that they're like, these women are really great but they're not real, and that's just like a crazy time that's something that a lot of men are like,
it's a lot of miseducation, it's a lot of lost time.
That's like the worst thing is like video games get a lot of blame for it, and like I play a lot of fucking video games, but like there's so many different types. It's like trying to generalize reading a book and saying they're all like Stephen King. Like, it's not even slightly fucking true.
You call him Stephen King?
Sorry, I just said it weird.
That was just this one time.
Stephen King.
You better know.
But yeah, like there's so many different kinds of video games and stuff like that. But like these kind of people are the ones who bring out the bad of everything, the bad of magazines, the bad of Hollywood movies, the bad of TV shows, video games.
The people that take it too far.
They cling to the shit.
And
bring it out.
Yeah, it's weird how some people just claim to like a really fictionalized thing and just think that it's real, and then like they don't need the real thing because like the fiction is enough.
I mean, that's pretty characteristic of so much of humanity. Like we inherently. The way that we've developed survival in of itself is by building stories. And everything in life is a story that we tell ourselves. And the real messed up stuff that tends to happen is when people don't recognize that what they're doing to survive, and they start believing in their own stories as a concrete, immovable story. You know, and like that's, as we've found out, like just through life and living, you can look at one situation through a million different perspectives, right? And then it can mean a million different things. And people always get attached to their own story that they wrote themselves, and they're like, that's how it was. You know, this guy was an asshole.
The ego.
He did this thing and it made me think this, and I had a horrible year because of that.
And this guy is bad because of that.
Yeah. Or like,
Yeah.
I was in a, you don't know the relationship I was in, like, my girlfriend broke my heart. She was so inconsiderate, and like, women are just like inherently bad, and like, I don't know, man, that can happen pretty easily, like, especially because it's confusing, because after a really bad breakup, from at least my experience, I had like one really long relationship with a woman, and it was like a 6-year relationship. We were high school sweethearts. But I was I was so emotionally damaged that it's really, I can totally see how someone would develop an attitude towards women in general from an experience like that.
Yeah.
Not because of anything logical,
Yeah.
but because of the amount of pain that experience had within it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah,
you gotta repair.
I can see that if you weren't a woman, you would not like them. I can see why.
I definitely, like, I can agree, because I find, like, a lot of these days, like, I had amazing parents. Like, my mom was a teacher. My dad was, like, he was theater throughout his whole life. Both my parents. My mom helped produce, or not produce, but, like, helped shoot Thriller. And, like,
what?
like that, yeah. And
that's crazy.
My dad worked on
my god,
like, a bunch of films in Toronto. Like, they did a whole bunch of cool shit. It's really weird.
That should have been the first thing you said.
It's really weird that I turned out like a jock, right? Like, I always loved
like,
the theater, but I was always too like scared to do it.
Yeah.
Get back into it.
I will. I think
you're doing it right now.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's true.
Goddamn straight. This is the stage.
Yeah. The thing, but that, like, one of the biggest things that I always loved about what my parents taught me is they gave me a sense of inflection, and to how to always look at any kind of situation objectively. So, like, whenever I've broken up with a person, I've always been able to, like, take away my bias of the situation and look, okay, was it me, was it her, and that kind of thing. But I could see how people, like, that who they don't have the capacity to inflect upon their own, like, was it me that was being the shitty person, can continuously layer on layer on layer on layer, like it was the girl, because they're not taught that they could be wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it kind of makes sense how they can get so disgustingly hermited almost.
It's crazy how much of a people, like, how common it is for people to go through life and think that, like, they're not the wrong one in a situation. Because, like, I think we all do that, like, in a certain, and we all run into it. Like, we're all just like, that person was an asshole. But then when you look at it again, you're like, no, I was an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, yeah. Like, there's that old story of, so there's a story of a fellow who was studying in Japan, and he was studying his judo for a long time. And he gets on a bus, and this man comes onto the bus, and he's stinking drunk. And he comes onto the bus, and he swings at an old lady. Okay?
Oh no.
And so this guy is there going like, I'm gonna be able to. This is perfect. I've been wanting to engage my judo in a real life situation. This guy's asking for it. I'm going to be able to use my physical prowess on this fellow and defeat him and be a hero. And so he stands up and he says to the drunk man, like, hey, like, you knock it off, like, I'm gonna take care of you. And so the guy says, like like, who the fuck are you for, like, asking me? And the guy just, like, sends him a little kiss, through the air, and just to entice him, right, just to, like, infuriate him. And so the drunk man leaves the old lady and goes over to go and beat this guy up, and he's bracing himself, right?
Yeah. And
so the guy's walking towards him, and right as he's walking towards him, this old man sitting down, this tiny old man sits down, and he says, like, hey! Like, he shouts at this, he ignores... he ignores the young man
Yeah.
who is wanting to fight, and he talks directly to the drunk man there.
Yeah.
And he says, like, hey, like, whoa, what you been drinking? Like, and the guy's just like, what the fuck do you care? Like, and he's just like, well, like, it smells like you've been drinking sake, and I love sake. And he's just like, I've been drinking sake. And the old man says, yeah, I used to drink sake with my wife in the garden that we've been tending, and that's one of my favorite things to do is sit down with her.
Mm-hmm.
And the drunk man, sort of taken aback by like that personal sort of thing, it shifted his thinking. It interrupted that rage cycle that he was in. He's just like, yeah, I don't have anybody. I'm all alone. My wife left me. I have nobody. And the old man says, like, that's terrible. You must feel terrible because of that. And the drunk man sits down beside him, and they start having this conversation.
Oh shit.
Oh my goodness, SD card is full. I think that's fine, because it's going on the computer. Anyways, so
it's still going.
Yeah, the young man, his stop comes, and he gets off the bus, and as he's leaving, he's just seeing this drunk man go to tears talking about how lonely he is with this old man, and the young man who was wanting to fight him and be the hero of the situation left feeling like shit, because through words this helpless old man was able to address the issue and was able to see to the core of what was going on in the situation, whereas the initial reaction of this man was to be the hero and to be that typical hero that society tells you to be. Yeah. But the real solution was that of true compassion. Yeah. It was being compassionate.
That's the physiological debate of punishment as opposed to rehabilitation. That's like the biggest nurture argument about it is, yeah, people do bad things, but how come they did that? People aren't hardwired to kill. People aren't hardwired to punish or do horrible fucking things. Something horrible fucking happened to them and broke their brain, basically.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing about, especially in Scandinavian countries.
Yes.
A lot of prison is rehabilitation as opposed to like the industrial prison complex of the United States.
Right.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of serial killer documentaries, a lot of people that murder. I've watched documentaries about them. A lot of bad stuff happens to them, and it's pretty clear, they're not bad people. They're just like something bad happened to them. They can't figure it out. They didn't have help. And that's what is really sad.
Yeah. It's
yeah. I didn't mean to bring it down like that.
So, speaking of Atlantis.
Atlantis.
Your adult bladder finally filled up?
Your adult bladder filled up. Oh. Careful. Gotta be careful with that. Gotta be careful. Everybody be careful.
I should have brought my shiwi.
We don't need anybody urinating in the studio.
Don't pee in here.
Don't pee in the studio. Yeah, I've been getting into this book like crazy lately.
I was thinking about reading it. I was gonna ask you if I could borrow it like a week ago or so, and then you were like, I just started reading it for the first time, and I was like, what?
Yeah,
that's crazy. Maybe I could read it
I'm
after.
over 300 pages through it.
I can't read English words.
This one's really cool.
Pages are pretty small words.
Yeah, this is a book by Colin Wilson, and he is a famous occult author who wrote a lot of different things.
He wrote a lot of different things.
And this is a really cool book because he's put a lot of thought. It was written in the 50s, and he put a lot of thought into how he's gonna curate the
Yeah.
different pieces of information so it would make sense as a story as a whole.
Okay.
So it seems really dense a lot of the time, but then you realize, like, hey, he's trying to paint a picture here.
Just like, you should put in a lot of thought when you're going to make a book.
He talks about
Especially
the
if it's
Kabbalah.
about green eggs and ham.
There-
A little
there's
bit
a
of
picture
science.
the
Very good
Kabbalah.
quality.
Right there.
What is that?
That's the Kabbalah. So, here we go. At this point, it is necessary to speak at greater length of the Kabbalah, since it seems reasonably certain that it derives from the doctrines of the Gnostics. There are two major books of the Kabbalah, the Sefer Yetzirah, or Book of Formation, and the Zohar, or Book of Splendor. Waite believes the first part to have been written in the 2nd century AD, although Richard Cavendish, more conservative, places it between the 3rd and 6th centuries. Is that BC? AD. Okay, so tradition declares that its fundamental doctrines go back as far as Abraham, and there can be no doubt that they represent a very early stage of Jewish mysticism. The Zohar was written down in Aramaic in Spain around 1275 by a Kabbalist named Moses de Leon.
Moses de Leon.
That's a gangster name.
That is a pretty gangster name. I'm going to take it when I hit the streets.
The importance of the Kabbalah lies in this. That's locking back in.
I stood there too fast for you.
Lamatudesout.com.
Okay. The importance of the Kabbalah lies in this. It is one of the oldest systems of mystical thought in the world. It was regarded for many centuries as the key to all the mysteries of the universe. The Kabbalah can be used as the key to all the mysteries of the universe, and it was an influence on practically every philosopher and religious thinker from the founder of the Essenes to Roger Bacon. Madame Blavatsky called her own wildering compilation of esoteric occultism the secret doctrine, but for most thinkers of the Middle Ages and Reformation, the word secret doctrine had only one connotation, the Kabbalah. The basis of all Kabbalism is a diagram known as the sacred tree, which is this. Oops. There we go. That's the sacred tree.
Okay.
Which consists of 10 circles joined by 22 lines. The 10 circles are the Sephiroth, or emanations of God. This is basically a Gnostic diagram, that is to say, it represents the creation as a fall from ultimate Godhead to the earthly kingdom. The soul begins its journey downwards, progressing through 10 spheres, like the layers of an onion, ending in a state of amnesia in the earthly body. Wow! I was just having some thoughts earlier today about how there's all these thought philosophies on life before, like reincarnation and everything, and like memories of previous lives, and like,
Yeah.
that's so funny how they address that like, why don't you remember that? It's just we're falling from a state into a state of amnesia. Mysticism is, of course, the attempt for the soul to achieve union with God again. So it's an in-depth way of breaking down the different energies in life and looking at them in a logical way to address the energies of real situations in life, and to look at what are the energies at play here, where does it fall within the Kabbalah, what element of the story is this fulfilling here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll have to read up and get the occult.
Yeah.
Read along with us.
Yeah.
Be a church of due respect. A church of all due respect.
Church of all due respect.
A book
The
club.
occult.
I already ordered my copy.
This is the
You
book
ordered
club.
your copy. There you go.
I've always wanted to do a book club on occult works.
Well, we're doing it. It's starting.
This is exciting.
It's a really cool topic though. Like, there's so much mystery within it, like evolved and stuff that like no one really has any answer for. Like different kind of powers or feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Lost
Yeah.
cities. Anything.
Yeah.
Lost City.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the Lost City of Atlantis, the movie came out in 2001.
Same year as Shrek.
It honestly didn't stand a chance against Shrek.
Yeah, but have you watched Shrek?
Shrek is
Because
love. Shrek
Yes,
is life.
I've watched Shrek.
recently?
Yeah.
Never saw her.
Because Shrek really, it's a good movie, but in my opinion, it doesn't really hold up against Atlantis. Like Atlantis is way better.
Right, but have you seen Shrek 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Have you seen Shrek the Third?
Yeah, Shrek the Third.
I've
What
seen
about
those.
Shrek 4? Have you seen Shrek 4?
No.
When Donkey,
No, I bet
when
you
Donkey
tapped
and
out
the
after-
dragon had kids.
No, I haven't seen
Yeah.
that. That sounds dumb.
That part was a little bit confusing.
That sounds
Because
real
we're like,
dumb.
how did that work? I want you to show us.
Yeah,
You know, with a
Atlantis,
donkey
though.
and a dragon making love? I want to know. Anyway.
It's crazy
that's
how
just
much
me.
like misinformation and like mystery there is behind like Atlantis though. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty certain it's not real, but there's just enough of it could be
It could be.
to make like the
Yeah.
theme of Atlantis being a very popular topic
Mm-hmm.
throughout like philosophers, archaeologists, like
Yeah.
throughout the last 100 years
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah.
Like
Because everything we know about Atlantis, for anything that from historical records, comes from Plato.
yeah.
And that is ridiculously
Yeah.
old. And his writings are not very consistent, too. Like, when he's writing about it, like, people are not sure if he's talking about 900 years before
Yeah.
his birth or
Yeah.
9,000 years before his birth.
He was a bit unclear about that part, which would have really helped the rest of us speculating now.
Yeah.
Keep it a bit more clear.
Some do think though it was like a big exaggeration, like he's just kind of saying a big number, like how you would say, "Oh, I did that a million years ago." Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, fucking
Yeah.
clearly I didn't do it a million years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it was like
somebody
maybe
could just
6 months ago,
hyperbole.
but you're just
So carelessly.
yeah.
People are getting wrapped up in the details.
Yeah.
And it could be well known he wrote like that back then, but that was lost throughout the ages. So now they're taking it
It's
so
true.
literally that they just don't really understand how to take it.
So he wrote
It's
about
true.
Atlantis, and he talked about how the people in Atlantis. What are my notes on that? I don't know where the people in Atlantis apparently were worshippers of the god of power, Belial, and he believes that Belial. And so whenever you worship the god of power,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever a really good idea, because you end up getting a bunch of karmic debt. So Edgar Casey, the famous, have you guys ever heard of Edgar Casey?
Yeah.
He was a famous channeler from the 1950s, or no, it's not, 1920s and 30s more like, and he channeled a bunch of information about Atlantis that he believed that the leaders of Atlantis were reincarnated as people like Hitler and Stalin, because they were still in that cycle of worshipping the god of power, and that was just their next reincarnation of their next attempt to repay their karmic debt in terms of what they had done in Atlantis. So yeah.
That is
Well,
just
it's
pretty
like-
intense.
It was a society that was like basically, according to history through Plato, is like a society gifted the power of being half god, half human, almost, and it was abused, and especially through the one worship of the god, Bias, or I can't remember his name. I can never say his name properly.
Belial.
Yeah, Belial.
Yeah.
But like they just made it fell apart.
Yeah.
Well,
So a lot of people think Atlantis is just North America too, which makes a lot of sense, because they had
could
these
be.
ancient Greece. They had no ideas of the amazing things that were happening in ancient, Peru and Mexico and all those
Yeah.
Mayan and
There's like, they're
Okay.
kind of, maybe it represents the whole rest of the world they don't know about.
yeah, Atlantis. That's true. Atlantis is kind of like, that's a good point. Represents
They
all
know
of the
there's
mysteries.
mountains
Yeah, and
and
plains.
plains.
It sounds like North America.
Sounds like just like that. Exactly it. That's what it's like here.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, like different like government bodies or civilizations have these too.
Yeah.
They've cited Atlantis throughout time. Like one of the craziest things that I found out about Atlantis, the idea of Atlantis, is the Nazis were horribly obsessed with it.
With
Interesting.
Atlantis.
Because
Ooh.
Atlantis was supposed to be one of the 7 pure races, like the people of Atlantis were supposed to be one of them, and it was through and one of the great belief systems of the Nazis came from the book. I don't know if I would call it a book, but a novel of some sorts written by Madame H.P. Blavatsky, that she wrote about the 7 the seven hierarchy races, and it went from like
that was mentioned in that passage that I just read.
Oh, was it?
Blavatsky, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, her, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But so she writes about how there's 7 hierarchy, like the best 7 races in like listing order, and there's like entities that don't have a physical manifestation, but like, and that's what they think might have been oracles, or like they would have called oracles, or daemons, like helpful creatures. And then there was like the ones who dwelled in the impossible cold climates of the world. And then one of the biggest reasons why the Nazis clung to it is on either side of the Mediterranean Sea, where there's no way that these creatures could have been on either side. There was lemurs on either side of it. And one of the creatures in Madame Blavatsky's book was a lemur-like creature that laid eggs and that kind of thing. And that was the third. That was the third level of the creatures. And there was a fourth. I can't remember the fourth, but then the 5th that she cited was the Aryan race. So like what Nazis believed to be the true human race. And then the 6th and 7th are to yet be discovered. And that was one of the basic founding principles of the teachings of how they could indoctrinate people into the Nazi belief. Was that like it was clearly
there's a hierarchy of races,
written and through like proof of other bullshit, basically.
Yeah, because
like
she was just a clairvoyant too.
Exactly. But it was used that way, and so the Nazis were horribly obsessed with finding Atlantis, to find their predecessor race. Sorry, that's who the 4th was. It's the Atlanteans.
Wow.
Right before the step before.
It's all coming together for me.
That's intense.
I found that fucking wild. Like,
yeah, that is, especially since Blavatsky is like, she wrote a ton of very influential occult stuff.
She was like a circus. I can't remember.
Yeah,
exactly what she
I don't
was.
know exactly. We'll have to look into that. We'll address that on a later episode.
We'll look into it.
Who is Blavatsky?
We'll get back to you.
Madame Blavatsky.
But she carried a lot of weight in those days.
Yeah, people were listening to her.
For her to be able to indirectly be used to influence a nation of people.
Yeah.
You go, girl.
Yeah. That's everything I know about Atlantis so far.
I just know that the film was on a 70 millimeter, format, which was, second of the Disney movies to be filmed like that. It was higher quality.
Oh, that's why it looks so dope.
It looks pretty dope.
Does it? Did you like that movie, Atlantis?
Yeah, I liked it. Did you like it?
I don't know if I've seen it.
You didn't see it?
Really?
I don't know if I've seen it.
It was
really
a pretty
all the characters were
pretty fine.
Yeah.
There was like a few that were like obviously not attractive, but then the most of them were.
Yeah.
And that's a big influence on my life.
Yeah.
Atlantis.
Good movie.
You guys ever heard of the real life Atlantis though? Did you
live
ever
action?
touch the actual Atlantis of the world? Like it's
I
not associated with the
not the Disney franchise?
Yeah, or the Plato's tellings of it, but like what they call real life Atlantis.
What do you mean?
The
So
place they
there's
found?
this city in China, and I'm sorry for butchering its name, but the Xinjiang province of China.
Okay.
It's probably completely wrong.
Whatever.
There's this city, and it's one of the oldest cities that was ever around. That continued, that didn't like fall out. And it was in this massive valley among the roughly translated with the 5 Lion Mountains around them. And 1959, this the Chinese government decided that that valley was a perfect place to install a hydroelectric reservoir dam.
Hmm.
And they forced over 300,000 people out.
That's crazy.
And the people that didn't, they flooded them
Holy shit.
over a 6-month period
Oh.
and turned this entire valley into a floodplain that they used, that the Chinese government still to this day uses as a hydroelectric plant
Mhm.
for generating electricity.
Mhm.
But they did such a good job of propagandizing it that it was forgotten until about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And then they started finding it, and there's scuba diving tours and stuff you can go on, and it's this perfectly preserved ginormous city. One of the coolest things about it, though, is traditionally within Chinese culture and like old cities and stuff like that, they always made their walled in parts of their cities with 4 entrances, pretty much every city.
Mm-hmm.
This one had 5.
Hmm.
And the structures of it were so much older, and because it got submerged in water, it hasn't become to the harshities of the sun. So like when they scuba dive down there, like everything is perfectly preserved, like the wooden beams
paint.
for the outsides of buildings, the paint, like everything is, it's wild. So they call it they call it Lion City because of the Lion Mountains and it having 5 entrance gates as opposed to the traditional 4.
Right.
And each gate has lions.
Has lions.
Interesting.
The Lions gates were very
Absolutely wild. Like
That's
if you
crazy.
to ever actually watch them do the scuba diving through the city, like it's the real life Atlantis.
Mhm.
It's wild.
That's crazy.
I definitely want to go there
Totally.
if China ever becomes safe to go to again.
Yeah.
I would love
One
to go
day.
scuba diving there
That will be. Yeah.
because it's over like a 200 hectare area.
Damn.
Yeah, like it's ginormous. Like they forced out. They just told get the fuck out.
That's so
That's
crazy.
the Chinese government for you.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I think that's all that I want to talk about right now. But we got a lot of stuff for future episodes.
And group bow. Good job, guys.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Today was April.
27. It's the 27.
Yeah, it's 28th right now.
28th.
It was 27.
It's
And now
28
it's a bit both.
Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for
you.
joining us in the Church of All Due Respect. We really appreciate everybody that tunes in every single time. It makes a huge difference.
Thank you to Island Hottie Lachlan for coming in.
The Island
Thanks
Hottie.
for
There was a
having
lot
us.
of
Fun.
subscriptions. I
Lot of
mean,
fun.
entrances this time. You know, if you want to be considered for Island Hottie, please
Please
hit us
email
up on
us.
Instagram, email
Yeah,
us,
keep it up. Got a lot to live up to.
message Lachlan directly. Also,
Larkness_monster94. Just got to shout out my
there you go.
social media.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
plug it.
Yeah. And our sponsors, our special sponsors, we want to start off with Not Kombucha.
Yeah,
We love Not Kombucha.
bring it to your door.
They bring it to your door. It's not kombucha.
It's just cuddling.
What?
And
Our other sponsors that we have, Grease Candle.
grease candles, made of bacon grease, 100%.
100%
in
bacon
your
grease
home.
candles.
And warm it up.
They
Don't pay
warm
for
it
heat
up.
this
How does that smell?
summer.
It smells good.
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it
not
smells
not
just-
like dead pig.
No,
Just a little bit sometimes.
there's some essential oil in there.
Yeah.
If you want to donate, if you have extra grease building up and you
If you
want to
have
donate
extra
that to
grease.
Grease Candles, you can actually just donate it to us personally at the Church of All Due
also-
Respect. Hit us up on Instagram.
Yes.
We collect jars
You can
too.
also donate jars, bottles, and sugar clumps.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sugar
Any
clump.
herbs you have, we'll take.
we'll take those. Do we have any other sponsors that we need to shout out?
Just me right now.
Just you?
Just me.
I thought we had another one.
Yeah, there's some. Listen to grapes.com.
Listen to Grapes.
Listen to
listen to those grapes.
grapes.com. Listen to them.
There's some great people
Turn it
over
on,
at Listen to
listen to
Grapes
'em.
making some good grape sounds.
Some good grape sounds. Check it out.
You gotta check it out, or else you're missing out
Check it
on
out.
that grape sounds. I want to give a big shout out to Brown It Up.
Brown it up.
Brown it up.
There
See,
we go.
Brown It Up
Do it right.
is
Brown It
our
Up.
revolutionary company that came into our lives very recently. But their business plan was so strong, we believe in it so much that we instantly agreed to have them on board. At Brown It Up, they do something very unique. Do you want to tell the people what they do at Brown It Up?
Can't for the life of me remember.
I'm
Something
so
about pudding?
interested.
Maybe poo? I don't know.
They set up good stuff for getting the brown where it needs to go. They ship brown all around the country. They make sure that gardens that don't have enough brown get more brown. Places that have too much brown get less brown. They brown it up.
Brown it up.
Brown
Brown
it up.
champion. That's some real sign language for you. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Love ya.
Tween.
So, like,